Welcome to the Insomnia stream. I'm your host, of course, Devin Stack. This is the Insomnia stream, They're Killers edition. Who are killers, Devin? Well, they, them, it's them. It's the ever omnipresent them. Well, I'll tell you actually specifically who they are. There's a news story going around. Well, I guess it's a couple days old now. Some more details kind of came out, but it was funny to watch as people watch the news of Obama's chef dying. Died in like 8 foot of water. And most people, they're like, well, of course that makes sense. They're like, as soon as they saw a picture of Obama's chef, they're like, well, he's black. Black people can't swim. This makes perfect sense, right? And then it just kind of went away, right? The Obamas weren't even there. It was just their chef, and he can't swim because he's black. And, yeah, of course. Makes sense. Checks out.
We're going to turn now to the tragedy of the Obama estate in Martha's Vineyard, where the family chef was found dead. The Obamas were not there at the time. We're learning more about what happened. DeMarco Morgan has the details. Good morning, DeMarco.
Good morning, guys. Talk about a tragedy here. The husband and father of two went missing about 100 feet offshore Sunday evening. His body wouldn't be recovered until the following day. The Obamas saying they now join the victim's family and those who knew him in grieving the loss of Tafari Campbell.
Oh, Tafari Campbell. Oh, Tafari Campbell. I'm gonna fix my. I don't know why my mic levels keep getting fucked up every time and I'm not doing anything. Like, I don't change anything, right? Windows decides, like, oh, I've decided this is a good volume for you. How about this? Hello. Because what's happening is my mic level is always out of whack with everything else. So it makes it sound like all my clips are all fucking loud. Hello. All right, that's probably way too loud now. All right, let me try this. Oh, you might hear a cat fight tonight. I got Churro hanging out here next to me. And Classified Cat is not happy about it. He's not happy about it. He keeps starting shit. I'm hoping that everything will work out okay. All right, let's see here. Let me go to the fucking sound control panel. Fucking sound mixer settings that always get changed. All right, what do we got here? I like how also in every Windows version that comes out, it gets worse. Like, it gets more complicated on how to just change the sound volume. That gets changed automatically. Where is this? I don't even know where to fucking go now. I don't even know in this version. Okay. How about this? See, I'm in sound settings. Oh, there we are, I think. Yeah, all right, watch this. Oh, look, now it's way too loud, and I'm going to have to fix it. Son of a bitch. And I don't know what's changing this. Okay, all right, this is probably good. All right, this is the level it should be at. Maybe a little bit hot. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Hello, hey, all right, that's good. That's probably good. All right. Yeah, I don't know why, like, Windows just takes it upon itself to do these things. And it fucks up. And I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. Maybe it's these stupid little, like when I do interviews in between the streams, it's like the stupid little browser things take control. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Okay, so back to the story at hand. During that news report, they said, oh, yeah, Obama wasn't even home, and, it was not a swim, 8 feet, they didn't find his body, whatever. And then, of course, as Gateway Pundit reports, actually the Obamas were home. So that's kind of weird. I mean, it's not weird that they were home. It's weird that, like, they said they weren't home. And then now they're saying they're, like, stick to a story. Like, no one's going to care one way or the other, right? And then it turns out you look on this guy's Instagram. No, he's swimming all over the place. He's like a fish. He's one of these rare black people that have a job and can swim. It's like a 1 in a bajillion chance, right? What are the odds? And everyone's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! I can't believe it!" And they point to this story that's very similar.
Sometime later this week.
There are new developments in the death of a celebrity chef. Crews found Walter Sheep's body near a hiking trail in Taos. We've now learned how he died, and we're hearing from the presidents who loved his food. We now know how Walter Sheep died. His body was found Sunday night just off the Yerba Canyon trailhead in very rugged terrain. New Mexico State Police say after an autopsy, the medical investigator reports Sheep drowned, and his death is officially an accident.
Oh, so he drowned in the desert. So now we have another White House chef. This was for the Clintons, and this is a story from, I think, 2015. So the Clinton chef drowned in the desert while hiking, as often happens. You know, that's the one thing I worry about the most when I go out hiking in the desert. If I'm bringing someone that's new, I tell them, watch out. You can easily drown out here. That's the number one thing. People are always drowning out here in the desert when you go on hikes. So it's not a new thing. It's not a new thing, and people usually associate these deaths that happen around people that are close to a president with the Clintons. And it's not so much that the Clintons are the only ones that have mysterious deaths, or not so mysterious deaths if you know anything about the people. It's just that they had the most. They had the most. And look, I'm sorry. Here's a black pill for you. This is, I think, just what you have to be like to get to that level. I think you have to be a killer. I think you have to be willing to kill to get that job. Because if you're not, other people will be. And they'll be the ones that get that job. That's just the way that it is. And you have to be good at it. And it's not that hard to be good at it. Anyone who's watched any of these YouTube channels that focuses on playing interrogation videos after a murder, right? And they show you like the Reed technique and all this other stuff. And I've done a stream covering some of these things. Everyone that's in these little interrogation rooms, they're all fucking morons. They're all morons. They had a terrible plan. The cops aren't exactly like these super geniuses that cracked the fucking Da Vinci Code to figure out like who done it. It's always easy fucking stuff. And these people who should just be saying, I'd like a lawyer, and then they don't even have to talk to the cops, get tripped up in some stupid lie they didn't think up, and that's it. They're arrested. I've mentioned that cable show that was, I don't know if it's still on, I doubt it, but like it was on years ago called First 48, and it might as well have just called Who'd a Nigger Kill This Time? Because that's what it was. It was just like black people, black. Like, I don't know where they were shooting this. I'm assuming they went to different cities, but it was just black people over and over and over again with like an IQ of like 75. Eventually getting outsmarted by the cop with an IQ of like 90. Into, getting tricked into admitting that they did it. And the reason why it was called First 48 is if they didn't get a confession in 48 hours, then the murder would just go unsolved. It's like I talked about in my book. There's a scene where one of the characters is saying, yeah, if you want to win, it's not that you kill your opponents. Your opponents just have to die in terrible accidents. Like, that's all. But they do have to die. If that's what you want, if what you want is power, you have to kill people. That's just, unfortunately, that seems to be where we're at now. And look, this isn't like a new thing. Like people are like, oh, Obama, like he did a lot of bad stuff, but I didn't think that he would be killing stuff. No, we knew this before he got in office. Anyone who was paying attention knew this. All right. So I know that some of the younger people in the audience might not remember the whole Obama thing. Because we're going on. It's been a while now. We're talking. It's been quite some time since 2007. We're rapidly approaching 20 years from that time. But the fact of the matter is, people had to die for that guy to get into office. Now there was one man, and I'll just to be honest about just who we're dealing with. But don't take it with a grain of salt at first. But we'll go into maybe if there's facts supporting what this guy's about to say. I mean, this guy is kind of a slimy Jew. He made a lot of his money doing like fraud and check. It was basically like check fraud and stuff like that to make money when he was younger. Flaming gay, and in 2007. He posted a video on YouTube saying, oh, this guy Obama that's running for president that everyone loves, and if you call him racist, then or if you say anything about him, you get called a racist and whatever, and no one's even looking into his background, and if you even ask for his birth certificate, somehow you're a racist, and we literally know nothing about this guy at all, other than he's black, and the media loves him. He smoked crack in a limousine with me, and that's not all. And then he put on this press conference at the press club in Washington, D.C., and this is how it went.
I flew out of Colorado Springs, Colorado to Chicago on November 2nd, 1999, arriving in O'Hare early in the morning of November 3rd. I went to the Chicago area to attend the graduation of my godson, my best friend's son, from basic training from the Great Lakes Navy Training Facility. I made reservations at the Comfort Inn and Suites in Gurnee, Illinois, based solely on the location to the training center. On November 5th, 1999, I hired the services of Five Star Limousine. Excuse me. I had hired them both for November 5th and November 6th of 1999. On November 6, 1999, I asked the limo driver, whose name I now reveal for the first time, Jagir Paramit Mutani, if he knew anyone who would like to socialize and show me Chicago. One note, there's a typo in the statement that you will get at the end of the statement. We will put an updated and corrected version on a website that you will also be given access to, as far as the name is concerned. Mr. Mutani understood that I was looking for someone who knew Chicago and would enjoy socializing. Mr. Mutani said he knew someone who was a friend of his. On November 6, 1999, after picking me up at the hotel in Gurnee, and this is significant, Mr. Mutani used his cell phone to make a call. That call was made to then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama to set up an introduction between myself and Senator Obama. Upon arriving at the bar and exiting the limo, Senator Obama was standing next to Mr. Mutani, and I was introduced to Senator Obama by name. Later that evening in a bar which I believe was called Alibis, and I state believe because I have failed so far to get Citigroup to provide the credit card receipts that has the actual name. I mentioned I could use a line or two to wake up. Senator Obama asked me if I was referring to coke, and I stated I was. After stating I was, Obama stated he could purchase cocaine for me and then made a telephone call. This too is significant, from a cell phone to a presently unknown individual, during which Senator Obama arranged the cocaine purchase. Senator Obama and I then departed the bar in my limousine and proceeded to an unknown location where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine.
And you might be like, what? And you would think this would be a big story. Wait, hold on. This guy's coming out and saying that in 1999, he went to Chicago, rented a limo, was fagging around town, doing drugs, picking up on people, asked the black limo driver, hey, can you hook me up with some fag fun, essentially. And he's like, yeah, I know just the guy. He introduces him to Barack Obama, gives him some money for cocaine. They get cocaine. Obama pulls out a crack pipe, starts smoking crack, and this weird-looking Jew sucks him off. And now, again, you might be thinking, well, that's a little crazy. That's a little out there. That's totally out there. Well, first of all, I mean, I don't even have to say it, right? Like, if a story like this came out about Trump, it wouldn't matter how fucking crazy it was, right? It would be on every channel, every newspaper's front page, everything, right? Yeah, not so much. Even though if they had just barely scratched the surface of this story, there's a reason why Tucker, for example, dropped the hint that that Obama was gay. It wasn't that edgy. People have been doing that for a long fucking time. People were calling him Bathhouse Barry, like on a regular basis. You see, here's Obama with his old preacher, Reverend Wright. And again, if you're too young to remember this guy, there was like this, it was almost like a scandal to hide the real scandal, right? The scandal with Reverend Wright that got put into all of the cable networks' news feeds 24/7 was the fact that he said something, honestly, not that controversial in my opinion, that I mean, in retrospect, right, now that we know who really did 9/11, it was stupid, but like, yeah, it wasn't that crazy to say, well, the reason why 9/11 happened was America was going around bombing the shit out of the Middle East. And so it's not that weird to think that the Muslims, I mean, he's put it a different way, but his point was, it's not that weird that Muslims would want to attack the United States, since the United States had been Israel's attack dog in the Middle East for decades, right? And that was the big story. You know, the soundbite that you heard over and over and over again was, America's chickens have come home to roost. And they would say that, they would play that over and over again. And Obama would have to, distance himself from his preacher. This was also Oprah's Chicago preacher. He was a black liberation. It was a black liberation church. It was basically a black supremacy church. Now, the real scandal that most of the locals knew, and if any reporter at all had done even a little bit of digging, and look, I think they just probably already knew this, they just weren't going to say anything, they would realize that Reverend Wright also acted as kind of a gay matchmaker. A gay matchmaker for powerful, publicly straight, married, sometimes with children, black people. Because they wanted to maintain their political power, and they thought that, well, because fags aren't exactly the most discreet people, they're also not the most impulse control kind of people, and then couple that with the black thing, and what ends up happening is they're putting ads in Craigslist. They end up like Marion Barry, where they're just fucking smoking crack on camera with forget, you don't know who that is. That was the mayor of Washington D.C., black mayor of Washington D.C., smoking crack with hookers on camera. You end up with this kind of a problem, and so to kind of facilitate this, he would matchmake these powerful men with gay members of his openly, because apparently with this brand of black supremacist Christianity, you could be openly gay, with openly gay members of his church, and it was called the Down Low Club. the Down Low Club, and everyone knew. And in the way that one of the reasons they chose that name is DLC also stood for a organization. It was like the Democrat something committee. Forget what the L was, but it was the DL. So in emails and in text messages, they could mention the DLC, and it wouldn't look all that suspicious because a lot of these people had dealings with another organization called the DLC. This is a article from the New York Times. Remember that we're talking about 2000, prior to 2007, and this is an article from 2003 talking about another city. This was another. I think it was Cleveland, right? Where it was a similar thing going on, where it was living double lives on the down low. And how that was that was basically black code for being a secret fag. Well, not only that, these are some of the members of Reverend Wright's church. That's Nate Spencer, Larry Bland, and what's the Young's first name? Hang on, let me look at my notes here. Donald Young. So those are some of the people that Obama he was in sexual relationships with, according to many, that were, Young was the head of the choir at the church, and Bland and Spencer were just other people at the church. Additionally, Obama and Rahm Emanuel were both members of the Man's Country Chicago Club, which was a gay club. I had to pull this up using the Wayback Machine, but this was their website back around that era. This is like it's look how I like how at the bottom it's like we have Wi-Fi at the gay sex club. Don't worry, guys. Man's Country Chicago is a private membership club for men 18 years and older. I'm sure they stuck to that rule. Man's Country Chicago is a clean, safe place to hang out. Meet guys who share the same interest as you. Socialize, make friends, watch porn, and play. Man's Country Chicago, where real men meet. And then they've got lockers, single rooms, deluxe rooms, computer rooms, double rooms, fantasy rooms, steam room, adult movies, glory holes, live stripper shows. And so, both Rahm Emanuel and Barack Obama were card-carrying members of this club. And again, it was an open secret. Bathhouse Berry. And this is Larry Sinclair back in the time frame that he's talking about, right? So he wasn't always like this weird. Well, he was always a weird Jewy-looking guy, but, he looked more of just like a normal fag, I guess, back then. You know what? We can't. We have to throw in a faggots here. We have to. Faggots. There we go. That's just necessary at this point. All right. So this was just kind of known. There was also rumors going around that he was involved with his trainer, Reggie Love. Reggie Love was his body man, he called him, and his personal trainer. There was Secret Service logs that showed that he was going to Reggie Love's house for a quote-unquote workout at like 9 a.m. and then leaving at 9:15. Which isn't exactly enough time to work out unless, unless they were doing the Larry Sinclair dance. He was also tied to this guy. Let's see, look at my notes again. Artur Davis, who was a U.S. representative from Alabama and gubernatorial candidate. And this guy right here, which is Deval Patrick, who was the governor of Massachusetts. Now, I don't know. These aren't confirmed, but these were rumors that Obama was involved with these guys sexually. And again, if the press had done even just like a minimal amount of research, they would have uncovered this stuff, especially after Larry Sinclair did his press conference and gave them specifics. So his press conference continues, and again, like I said, in the context of all this kind of stuff going around, it would be easy for any reporter with credentials to contact just a few people and find out some of this stuff. But they didn't do it because they wanted Obama to be president. They wanted the first black president.
Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine, after which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurnee, Illinois. The following day, November 7th, 1999, Senator Obama appeared at my hotel room, unannounced, uninvited, where we again ingested cocaine and I again performed fellatio on Senator Obama. Significantly, both the driver's telephone call to Senator Obama and his call to the drug dealer should appear on the driver's and Senator Obama's cell phone billing statements.
See, stuff like that would be easy to confirm. Stuff like that would be easy to confirm, not just for reporters, obviously for intelligence agencies, which probably already knew this sort of thing. Intelligence agencies that were very happy to have Obama because he was the one that was going to usher in the security state to the degree that we're experiencing it right now. You know, it was under Obama that they killed Michael Hastings. It was under Obama that a lot of this stuff that Snowden was talking about really, accelerated. And it was because he was just there to be the fancy black guy that the press liked on TV while they, did whatever they wanted to do. And of course they could do whatever they wanted to do because they had this shit on him. And all they'd have to do is check the phone records and see that, I guess Obama did call this limo driver and he was at these different places when this guy's saying. He has the exact dates and times and everything.
In the fall of 2007, September 2007, I contacted the presidential campaign of Barack Obama to request solely that Senator Obama publicly correct his stated drug use record to reflect his use of crack cocaine with me in November of 1999.
Now here, he won't say this. You might say, well, that part of the story's weird. What do you mean? So in 1999, this guy blows Obama while Obama's smoking crack and does some coke, and then he notices him on TV running for president and contacts the campaign and asks them to clarify his record. Like, why would he do that? Well, I think it's obvious. This guy, if you look at his past, he was a fraudster and all this other stuff to some extent, and I think he was looking for blackmail money. I think he reached out to the campaign and said, look, I happen to know that Obama was smoking crack up until 1999. And look, Obama admitted to doing coke in high school and in the early years of college. So it's not like a big stretch that he was smoking crack, especially not in 1999. So that's the one part of the story that I think that is a little glossed over. That's probably why he contacted the campaign, because he was looking for a little bit of money. But according to him, at least, he didn't mention the gay stuff when he called the campaign. He called them up and just mentioned the crack cocaine stuff to see what kind of response he would get.
When I made the first contact, I left with the presidential campaign of Senator Obama a telephone number for the campaign to return my call. The first number I provided was a Texas cell phone number. From the period of Labor Day weekend 2007 through November 18th of 2007, I did provide a total of 4 different callback numbers to the Obama campaign. As I had moved and I had changed the numbers to reflect locally my place of residence at the time. In late September to early October, I lost my place here. In late September to early October 2007, I received a call from a male who identified himself as a Mr. Young, stating he was calling in regards to calls I had made to the Obama campaign. This first call was in fact an attempt by Mr. Young to obtain from me the identities of anyone I contacted concerning my 1999 allegations against Senator Obama. This first call shocked me in that this Mr. Young asked me why I had, excuse me, why I had never mentioned to the shocked me as I had never, whoa, hold on, so I'm lost here. Thanks, because this is getting, I can't even see it. The first call was in fact an attempt by Mr. Young to obtain from me the identities of anyone I contacted concerning my 1999 allegations against Senator Obama. The first call shocked me in that this Mr. Young asked me why I had not asked Senator Obama to disclose the sexual encounters I had with Mr. Obama in 1999.
So now we have some guy named Mr. Young calling him back saying, well, you know, we're working on the, you know, the crack cocaine thing, telling people about that. You know, just want to be honest with the public. And why didn't you mention how you fucking blew him? Why didn't you mention that? And so this person with the last name of Young is calling him, and it's you can tell he's fishing for information. He wants to know, well, what do you know? Who have you told? That sort of a thing. And why didn't you mention the gay shit?
I was shocked as I had never mentioned to the campaign or anyone working for the campaign any sexual encounters, as my call was prompted by drug allegations only. The call ended with Mr. Young stating I would hear from someone in a few days. In mid to late October 2007, I received a second call from this Mr. Young, at which time I clearly became aware that this individual was personally involved with Senator Obama rather than just an employee of his campaign. The tone of the conversation had a sexual nature. Mr. Young did not once advise me how he obtained my phone number, which by this time had now changed to a Delaware number. In late October 2007, I received a text message from the gentleman identified as Mr. Young, in which he stated he was intimately involved with Senator Obama and that Obama was discussing with him and his pastor how to publicly acknowledge Senator Obama's drug use in 1999, and that Obama wanted to be sure I had not discussed the sexual encounters or drug incidents with any media at that time. In mid to late November 2007, in another text message from Mr. Young, he advised me that Senator Obama will publicly correct his statement as to the last time he used drugs, and I did not need to concern myself with publicly disclosing it myself. The last contact I had with Mr. Young was in early December 2007, when he made it clear to me that Senator Obama had no intentions of publicly acknowledging his 1999 use of crack cocaine, and that Mr. Young was in fact doing nothing more than milking information from me for Senator Obama's use. I later learned that A. Donald Young, the choir director of Reverend Wright's Trinity United Church of Christ, Obama's now former church, and who was openly homosexual, learned that he was murdered on December 23rd of 2007.
And that's right. This openly gay choir, this is Donald Young. This is the guy that Larry Sinclair is suggesting was calling him and on behalf of Obama. A guy that other witnesses say was very close to Obama and fits in with the rumors that Reverend Wright was basically hooking up prominent black, publicly straight people with gay rendezvous with people like Donald Young here. Turns out he died. But how exactly did he die? Well, according to his death certificate here, multiple gunshot wounds. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what how the news reported it at the time.
One News.
A man who worked as a choir conductor and school teacher is found shot to death. The victim, 47-year-old Donald Young. Good evening, everyone. Young's death has been ruled a homicide. His body was discovered yesterday morning inside his South Side home at 2320 East 69th Street. ABC 7's Michelle Gallardo is here now with more on the case and how Young is being remembered tonight. Michelle?
Ravi, Donald Young was the fourth of 8 siblings. He was, according to those who loved him, the type of person who didn't take life for granted. He lived every day to the fullest. So whether it was in the South Side classroom where he taught or at church conducting the choir every Sunday, Young made an impression on those who met him.
He was one of those success stories in terms of a kid whom the average person would look at and say he doesn't have a chance.
And yet, before his death, Donald Young succeeded mightily. Among other things, he was a choir conductor at Trinity United Church of Christ for many years. This amateur video, shot just last week, shows him doing what for him wasn't a profession, but a calling.
He came to our church as a 12-year-old. He was not brought by mother and father. He just came because of the other kids and became active in the church.
Isn't that interesting? Now, I think it's possible that the stream ate shit here. You should be able to refresh it. Yeah, we're good now. We're back. I'm going to tell everyone to refresh. All right. Oh, and I got a cat fight on my hands. Hang on a second. Let me go take care of that.
The church became Young's extended family. When news of his killing came during Sunday morning services, Reverend Wright tells us many parishioners got up and went straight to Young's home. This third-floor apartment on the 2300 block of East 69th Street is where Young was found by his roommate, shot to death.
He was a person who believed in loving people with God love, agape love that a lot of us don't, unconditional love.
Young was also a 5th grade teacher at Guggenheim Elementary, and tonight family spokesperson Dennis Cole told us Young had just finished a double master's in early child education and math. His ambition
was to be a male prostitute for Reverend Wright. All right. I got them separated. Churro's back in his little wagey cage. All right. So that's how it was reported. What they don't tell you is that he was found basically execution style murdered in his living room. No forced entry or anything like that. Nothing missing. It wasn't like a burglary. To this day, the murder is unsolved. Kind of interesting. So just so you know, he's not making this shit up, or at least that part, right? That's confirmed.
I have cooperated with the Chicago Police Department on this matter by providing them the telephone numbers I was using during the fall of 2007. And I release them now publicly in the hope that someone may be able to connect the dots between these telephone numbers and Mr. Young. Those numbers are 954-758. Actually, that should be 956. That's another typo.
So here he just goes over all, he goes over all the phone numbers, tells them that he will give them a release of their credentialed press to talk to. Sprint was the company that owned his cell phone company, and so they could go request the records directly. And of course, none of the press would.
In what I now realize was a naive and uncounseled decision, I posted in January 2008 a video on YouTube where I related the above information regarding my liaisons with Senator Obama in 1999. The response was overwhelming, and I quickly became the recipient of what in hindsight appears to have been a coordinated attack on my character, with ever-increasing falsehoods circulating on the internet.
So every basically like the Huffington Post and all the old lefty, the Daily Cause and all that stuff, they went all out saying, "Oh, he's just this, he's just a liar," while the mainstream press on television didn't even mention it at all. Like, didn't mention it at all. In fact, when he was done with his press conference, the D.C. police arrested him because Joe Biden's now dead son, Beau Biden, there on the right, who was a attorney, I don't know if he was the attorney general. I think he might have been the attorney general, but he was a prosecutor, I believe, in Delaware, issued a fugitive warrant. And so they arrested him, hauled him in, and then never charged him because they didn't really have anything. They just wanted to fuck with him because at the time, Joe Biden was Obama's running mate. The mother of, I missed my notes again. I always forget that guy's fucking name. That's what it was, Donald. Of Donald Young. Said, yeah, this seems like a cover-up. This seems like this has to do with his relationship with Obama. So the mom of the guy who got executed. So it's not just Larry Sinclair. It's the mother of the dead guy saying that, in fact, she used to work for the Chicago PD. And she's saying, I don't know what's going on because I talked to the Chicago PD. They're not investigating this. They're not looking into anything. There's no reason why he should have been killed. You know, there wasn't like a drug deal gone wrong or a burglary or anything like that, you might think. And the only paper that would pick it up was, I think, the Globe. You know, which was basically like the Inquirer. You know, like none of the major papers would pick it up. And then you find out, oh, this wasn't the first guy. This wasn't the first gay black guy in Reverend Wright's church that knew Obama that was execution-style murdered in 2007. Larry Bland was also execution-style murdered in his living room. In fact, his mother was getting so tired of all the gay guys that he was bringing into the home because he lived with his mom that she just moved out because he was just bringing in random fags constantly and just, you know, fagging out. Here's his death certificate. Multiple gunshot wounds. You know? And then you had a third guy who was talking about writing a book about relationships with Obama. That's the guy on the left, Nate Spencer. And then he died, reportedly of AIDS. Right in that same timeline. So maybe he did die of AIDS because he's a fag, so who knows, right? But we have 3 different gay black guys at Obama's gay hookup church that all knew him, that all dropped dead during the campaign in 2007. While Obama was going around telling people that he didn't support gay marriage and that he was a good Christian. So Obama gets elected. And look, there's other bodies. There's other one in particular is Obama's got a bizarre backstory, as many people might be aware, that involves Kenya, Indonesia, Hawaii, and just like there's a lot of question marks about where he was really born, who he really is, who his dad is. There's all these different theories because, quite frankly, there's no real straight answer for any of this stuff. And one of the people that in Indonesia that claimed to have known him, and it was recognized at least at one point that she was indeed like his adopted sister while he lived in Indonesia, was a woman that I don't know that I kept that tab open, but it doesn't really, it's not a huge story. but it was a woman that, it was an Indonesian woman who had lived with him for a time while he lived in Indonesia. She claimed that he walked with a limp and that he had a scar from falling out of a mango tree or some shit. And she was kind of suspicious when she saw the guy on TV and said that that didn't really look like the boy that she'd grown up with. And like a few days before she was supposed to go meet him and go, like she was going to be flown out to go to the inauguration, she drops dead of a sudden illness. And like that's all it says, because it's an Indonesian newspaper, so not a lot of details. It just says she died suddenly. Maybe she took the vax. So there's other people, and there's probably people we don't know about. That's the thing with this stuff. Like, if you find out about like some of the people that died, it's guaranteed you don't know about the other people that died. These are just the people that were sloppy, right? Another famous person, and I've covered this before, but just to remind people who might not know, the thing with Obama and his mysterious past is he didn't have a birth certificate. You would think that that would be kind of like a basic thing you'd have to provide if you wanted to be president. But because of the climate, the political climate and the press in 2007, if you just asked for a birth certificate, you were called a racist. And all the Republicans would scurry away in fear of being called a racist, and they wouldn't press the issue. So he basically he was president without having to provide a birth certificate somehow. Well, eventually he was forced to produce one. And the person that produced it was...
And a small plane crash in Hawaii killed a high-ranking state official. The Cessna Grand Caravan went down in the water yesterday off the island of Molokai. The plane was headed to Honolulu. Officials say the director of Hawaii's health department, Loretta Fuddy, was killed. 8 other people were on board, including a pilot. They all survived. One of the passengers swam to shore.
Well, that's weird. You mean she was on a plane that crashed and everyone survived but her, and in fact, one of the people, like it was such not a big deal, he swam back to shore? Because basically it was Hawaii, right? So the plane took off and then immediately crashed in the water. Everyone was fine. She was fine. And we know this because there's actually video of the crash. One of the people inside the plane had like a GoPro, and they recorded the crash, and she's just chilling. I did a video on this years ago talking about his birth certificate. Here's just like a part of that video I'm going to play real quick.
2011, it became obvious that Obama was going to have to come up with a birth certificate, because despite the legacy media smear campaign, people were starting to think it was a little bit weird that here we are getting close to the end of his first term and we still don't have proof of who he is. So on April of 2011, Loretta Fuddy, the only person with access to the original version of the birth certificate, released a copy that was then promptly posted and still hosted on whitehouse.gov.
So while this is all going on, she finally releases the birth certificate. You later find out that her mortgage got mysteriously paid off like a few months prior. And then you also find out that there's all kinds of crazy problems with the birth certificate. We could go on for hours just about that. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office actually formed a posse to investigate the birth certificate because no one was doing it. Like literally no one was doing it. Like the FBI wasn't doing it. Like no one that's supposed to be doing this shit was doing it. The press wasn't looking into it. So Sheriff Joe Arpaio formed a posse and started investigating the birth certificate. And it turned out, like I did a whole video on it. If you want to check out the video, I know it's on Odyssey. And it's called like, You're Not a Birther, Obama's birth certificate is just fake or something like that. And it's fake. It's totally fake. And of course, no one talked about it. And everyone ignored the press conferences that the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office put on when they were showing that it was clearly and obviously. Not only did they find out that it was fake, and they showed you why it was fake, They found the original birth certificate that they used as the template to make the fake one. They found the one that you can copy and paste, and like you can overlay them, and it's the exact same one. And they found the graphic designer lady that did it. No one talks about that. See, this is the black pill, guys. This is how far gone we are. Because technically, right? Technically, he should not have been president. In fact, in a legal sense, you should be able to go back and nullify every single law that he passed, every single executive order that he signed, because he was an illegitimate president for 8 years. But that would mean that the first black president, even though he was only half black, and maybe not even that, because I don't know, like there's a possibility he's not half Kenyan, that he's half Indonesian. But I don't want to even get into that. We don't even know. We don't even know. We don't even know who this guy is. So this guy that we don't even know who he is was basically fraudulently president for 8 years, and no one cares. Like, no one cares. It doesn't matter. And so after everyone's like, well, this birth certificate's obviously fake or whatever, right?
There was a total legacy media blackout on the subject, so most people never even heard of this, and bought into the lie that the investigators were somehow racist to discredit anyone who looked at this as something serious. But that's just the beginning. It gets a whole lot worse. Back to Loretta Fuddy, the woman you would need to release a forgery. Not only was she appointed to be director of the Department of Health Administrators by Democrat Governor Neil Abercrombie just 1 month prior to the release of Obama's forged birth certificate, from 2006 to 2008, she was also the chairwoman of Sabut USA, a small Muslim cult from Indonesia that Obama's mother belonged to in the 1960s. What are the chances of that? But it gets even worse. She was the only person to die in this plane crash. This plane crash where everyone got safely out of the plane, including Fuddy. Official cause of death? Heart attack. Oh, and Obama just happened to be visiting Hawaii when this all happened.
Yeah, so there's that. Obama flew to Hawaii. This is after he's president. Met with the governor. And then, like, while he's there, like a day into his visit, Loretta Fuddy's airplane magically crashes into the ocean. On video, she's fine. Everyone swims out. Everyone's fine. And then she somehow dies of a heart attack. And no one asks any questions. No one cares. Literally nobody cares. So the idea that Obama's chef drowned in 8 feet of water, you know, while paddle boarding in the middle of the night or whatever, no one cares. And no one's going to care. That's kid stuff compared to all this other shit. They didn't investigate anything. I mean, Obama not only, I mean, he was a closet fag. He was hooked up with a lot of other closet fags, but he also, I mean, he was appointing fags as part of his team. So, for example, there was the Stanford law professor Lawrence Lessig. Of course, a lot of these guys are Jews also, who was listed during the 2008 campaign as part of Obama's technology initiative. And this is a guy who, when he worked at Google, or was doing presentations at Google, this is in 2006, was making videos about a gay Jesus. For, like, I don't know, well, because he's a Jew and he's mocking Jesus and he's a fag. So this is the video he played at a Google presentation while he was a law professor.
there's a sequel, so don't worry. He does survive.
So there you go. He makes Jesus gay and then kills him on a video for Google, and everyone's laughing. And this would have been, again, this is a press goldmine. Hey, why is there some gay Jew on your campaign making videos about Jesus stripping and getting hit by a bus? But of course, that's not what people saw. Instead, this was the coverage of Obama during that. Again, for those of us who remember it, it all makes sense. But if you're young and don't remember this shit, this is what was going on when Obama was running and while he was president.
Happiness, we're gonna spread freedom. Obama's gonna change it. Obama's gonna lead 'em. We're gonna change it.
With the prophet Martin Luther King Jr., we cry out of all the forms of inequality.
The audio is pretty bad on this part, but they're literally praying to Obama.
Healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane. From healthcare systems and industries that place profit over people. From lobbying efforts that block access to quality healthcare for all.
Yes, we can. 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 Obama speaks on race America. Yes, we can. And race borders all past down the ridiculous of our past. Yes, we can.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's such a blessing to see you, Mr. President. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Oh, gracious God, thank you so much.
I pledge
to be a servant to our president
and all mankind.
Because together we can. Together we are, and
together we will be the change that we seek.
I mean, that's some creepy ass shit. But that's what it was like. That's what it was like for 9 years. Day in, day out, everywhere you looked. Whether it was late night talk shows, comedy shows, news shows, actors, musicians, magazines. Anywhere you looked, Obama was basically a god. He was a murdering faggot god.
Get in the pit.
The bottom line is they're all killers. They're literally all killers. And this stuff goes way back. It's not just, like I think I tweeted something out because there's a biographer now that wrote a biography of Obama, and one of the bombshells for people who apparently just don't know anything was that he was gay, and that he used to write love letters to his girlfriend that would include fantasies of fucking guys. And it's like, well, yeah, he's a fucking faggot. He's always been a faggot, and everyone has known that he was a fucking faggot. This isn't like breaking news. And the tweet I think that I responded to said something like, "Oh, he really was our first gay president," because Newsweek had said something about that after he, as a compliment, kind of like how they said that Clinton was the first black president. Obama was the first gay president because he passed all these law illegally, made all these executive orders and passed these laws that allowed fags to spread even like more like a virus. It was the precursor to the literal hellscape that we live in today. And I simply pointed out, no, he's not the first gay president. He's probably the gayest president. But he wasn't the first gay president. Those motherfuckers have been going to Bohemian Grove for like about 100 years. In that stream, the Black Epstein stream that I did, that was the Bush administration. Yeah, Bush Sr. Now, I think Clinton liked girls. But who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if that motherfucker swung both ways either. We all know Hillary did. They're all degenerates. You get to that level of power, and they're literally all degenerates. All these people freaking out like somehow everything just like rapidly declined. Like everything was fine in the 90s. No, this was the 90s. In the 90s, Larry Sinclair was doing crack and sucking off Obama in the back of a limo in Chicago. That was the 90s. The conspiracy of silence shit with Larry King and the Bush administration, that was the 80s. This is just what people are like at that level. They're just murdering pedo faggots. Because we created a system where that rewards murdering pedo faggots. And no one does anything about it because all the people with the power to do something about it are usually also murdering pedo faggots. Or they're afraid of murdering pedo faggots because if you start to get too close to the issue, your plane explodes or crashes and you have a heart attack or you get execution style murdered in your living room. They're all killers. We created a system that rewards psychopaths. You know, it's funny when Kevin Spacey was in that House of Cards show, where they basically show that that's what these people are like. And someone had asked, I think it was Bill Clinton, you know, because Bill Clinton was, you know, the Clintons were good friends of Kevin Spacey. There's a red flag. Kevin Spacey, another murdering pedo faggot. Like literally, right? How many of his accusers dropped dead before they could go to court? They're all killers. They're all killers. To get to that level, you have to be a killer. They're willing to do it. That's why they win. But when Bill Clinton was asked, like, oh, well, what do you... I heard this is one of your favorite shows, House of Cards. And in House of Cards, Kevin Spacey plays a president that's basically a murdering pedo faggot. Like that's the character he plays. A complete psychopath. I think in the opening scene of the first episode, he murders a dog. He like literal serial killer shit. And then he's fagging around with like old Yaley buddies or I don't know, maybe it was Harvard, whatever, some Ivy League butt buddy. And Bill Clinton, who's familiar with the show because it's one of his favorites, says that it's accurate. And everyone just kind of snickers, oh, ha, ha, ha. And you're wondering why we have trannies everywhere. What else would be going on in a country led by murdering pedo faggots? Like, what else? What do you mean? So when people get surprised that Obama's chef dies in 8 feet of water mysteriously, and the story changes, and, press seems pretty unconcerned. Just like they were completely unconcerned that the Clinton chef died when he was hiking. He drowned while hiking in the desert. In 2015. Remember what was happening in 2015, right? Hillary was going to be running for president. If you're the chef, you're around these people all the time. You're going to see the dark shit that happens. And they better really trust you. Because if they don't leave things up to chance. The people that leave things up to chance, they're the ones that don't win. The people that don't have a stomach for remedying the problem, they're the ones that don't win. It's important that people understand this. It's important that people understand. These are the people you're dealing with. They're not stupid. I mean, some of them are stupid, but the people pulling the strings, they're not stupid. That's something I've always been frustrated when you talk about, talk to these people like the MAGA people or just the people that are still watching Fox News and whatever, and they're like, oh God, these people are so dumb. Do they not stop and think to themselves, well, wait, hold on. How do you think these people got to the positions that they're at? They just failed upwards? I mean, they're all just, like Forrest Gumping their way to the top. Now look, there's probably some puppets that it appears that way, right? But even those guys, they know what's up. And they're just enough of a psychopath to let you kill their gay lovers if it's going to be good for the campaign. Man, this clip right here. This was I'm telling you, you guys don't understand if you didn't live through this. This kind of shit was all over the TV all the time. And just the word choice, like the way they wrote this, it's just like the creepiest shit ever.
I pledge to be a servant to our president
and all mankind.
because together we can, together we are, and together we will be the change that we seek.
And the scary thing is, a huge chunk of the population liked that. Like they didn't see anything wrong with that. That wasn't creepy to them at all. Having all the top famous actors in unison chanting that they're going to be a servant to the president. A servant to the murdering pedofag.
Faggots!
So anyway, Hope you guys all learned something about these people, and don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself into thinking that like, oh, but our guy's not like that. The hell he's not. I mean, maybe they're not as competent. You know, do you really think Trump hasn't had someone killed? Man, I'd be really surprised if Trump, with ties to casino mafia and Jewish mafia, hasn't had someone killed. Like, these people are killers. They're all killers. All right, I'm going to take a look at Hyper Chats here. Let me pop this out. John Skywalker with the Myrtle Beach thing again. You really want us to watch this? Oh. All right. You know what? Hopefully we finally get to see this. Let me see if I can get it to play here. Watch. This will be what crashes the connection. We might have downloaded. Let me see. Well, it didn't crash my connection, but oh, there it finally goes. It was crashing. Premiere did not want to load that clip. Is it going to be worth it after all this time? Of you trying to get us to watch this? This is a long ass clip, by the way. This isn't like a clip. This is like 15. We're not going to watch this whole thing. All right, let's see. Let's see here. You said to skip the first minute. All right, so what? This is something that happened at Myrtle Beach. Something happened at Myrtle Beach that John Skywalker has been wanting us to watch for weeks. Because, all right, he says, here's my link to the Myrtle Beach shooting video. Skip to 1 minute and watch the 2 minutes. I also sent it to you on Gab. Wanted to finish what I started so the rest of you could see it. I was a block away from it. Okay. So this is something that happened a block away from John Skywalker. And he's been trying to get us to see this for like almost a month now. Let's see if it lives up to the hype.
North. Here comes the police now. And we got a mob. 4th Avenue North and Ocean Boulevard, Myrtle Beach. And they're running. Oh, they're fighting. Fight! Oh, oh, the officer's down. Officer is down. Cop is down. Multiple people down. We're at 4th Avenue North. Stay away. If you're watching this, stay away from 4th Avenue North and Ocean Boulevard. Taking a car. Stay away from this area if you're watching this feed. There's multiple people been shot. Hey, go back inside.
Hey, where's the cop that got shot?
I don't. He's laying on the ground right there. That cop's laying on the ground, shot.
I hate to tell you, John Skywalker.
That cop is right there.
They're wrong. Dramatic video, sure.
Officer down.
But this is the kind of shit that, sadly, if you stay in the cities, everyone is a couple blocks away from. This is just America now. You know, this is just this is why you don't want to live in the cities. This is the kind of shit that happens in any major American city with regularity. I mean, yeah, that's pretty dramatic. I understand why you're freaked out that it happened a block away. I would just get the fuck out of there, dude. I would get the fuck out of there because this is why I got the fuck out of where I was. This kind of shit was starting to happen not too far away from me. And it's amazing how quickly it happened. It's amazing how quickly it transformed. In fact, the entire reason I moved to the city that I had after not living there for, I mean, it wasn't forever. It was maybe like I hadn't lived there for like, well, it'd been like 10 years. But when I had lived there 10 years prior, I'd lived there specifically because it was like the nicer white part of town.
Oh my God! Did y'all see that?
It was one of the few areas you could live, and it was too expensive, basically, to put it one way, for diversity to live there. And apparently, while I was gone in those 10 years, the white flight was they were pushed further and further out to these newer developments. So when I came back 10 years later, I had all kinds of diversity in my apartment complex that I quite frankly wasn't expecting. And shit was getting crazier and crazier, and that when the George Floyd stuff started happening, that was it. That was when I was like, that's enough, I'm done.
They're bulletproof vests and tactical weapons. Look at that.
Actually, it was probably, I got out of there just before that shit happened, but after I left, like, that stuff was happening right where I used to live.
If you're just watching this, it's all called.
But yeah, welcome to America, ladies and gentlemen.
But there was a shooting at
You finally got your video played, John Skywalker. There you go. I'll let it keep playing a little bit in the background. Let's take a look here. I might drop the volume down a tad on this. I can't tell how loud it is coming out to you guys, but the levels don't look super low. All right, here we go. That's probably good. That's nice little background music, right? Sirens, gunshots. Here we go. Graham playing games. You don't have to play the video on stream. This is from 1958. Two intellectual British men talk about how they want to see the English in England wholly replaced by other nations because it will reinvigorate the country culturally. Wait. Two intellectual British men talk about how they want to see the English in England wholly replaced by other nations. Were they English or were they fellow English? I guess that's the question. I don't know how many fellow English that you guys have. I don't know that England is maybe it is. I don't know if it's as Jew heavy in the ruling class as America is. Let me see if I can get it up. Let's see here. Let's see if it'll download. I'm just downloading these. I'm not going to open a browser.
Right in front of the hotel. I got it all on video.
All right, let's see what we got here. Who are these guys? Do we know who they are?
Business. Immigration on a huge scale and then immigration on a huge scale. I mean, let's get the English out of England and let's get somebody else in. Because I think the English have ploughed this country absolutely into a cultural, what I could call a cultural dust bowl. Everything has been written about to death. The provinces have been done to death. An exquisitely sensitive study of a town in Nottinghamshire. All that. English culture has done all it can do, I think, in England. So for heaven's sake, let's get ourselves out and the West Indians in and some Italians and some Hungarians and in that way, let's build up the rapidly growing Australian culture, the not so rapidly growing Canadian culture, and get some new eyes looking at our own country. New leaders, a new religion, a new political party, a new, completely new form of society. I think that a new political party, not a new religion so much as a new religious feeling, can be promoted by new people, new leaders.
Do you think there's anything fresh or new in what you've just said?
Yes, I do. I think if a historian dipped into the past and could unearth a Greek or an Etruscan or a Carthaginian who said the same thing, then perhaps it wasn't so true then as it is today. Therefore, it's new because it's the truth of today. Absolutely nothing, but I think it's important that every so often that kind of thing should be said as loudly as possible by a large number of people. And maybe every 10 years there will be, people of my age who are saying exactly that over and over again until it gets...
You know what? I can't tell if it's the English accents, but either way, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Probably murdering gay pedophiles. I mean, they kind of sound like faggots, but sometimes English people just sound like they're gay. So, but especially the lizard people, English people, like those guys clearly are. Yeah, you know what? My guess is they're probably murdering gay faggots, and quite frankly, they deserve to go in the pit.
Get in the pit.
All right. Let's see where we are here. I keep scrolling around on here. It's going all over the place on me. Graham playing games. As for replacement immigration, as I've noted before, it is so apparent on the ground here in Canada. Rapid demographic change, man. The area my grandparents lived is now very Muslim. Government announced that they are making it a lot easier and taking down previous requirements to come to Canada. All right, that's what I was saying. Like that's just all across the West. Where I used to live, that happened in 10 years. It went from, honestly, it was probably like probably about 90% white. And 10 years later, it was like maybe 50% white. Like, it was dramatic. Like, it was so dramatic that, like, I thought, well, maybe I just picked a really shitty apartment complex, to live in. Because, like, is this like the ghetto one? Is this like the black apartment complex? No, it was everywhere. So yeah, this is the West. This is the cities. Night Nation review. Thank you for the great interview, Devin. Was a great time, sir. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that. If you guys missed that, there is a link on my Telegram. Also a link on my Twitter to the episode where I'm on Night Nation Review. It was pretty long too. I think it was on there it was at least I think it was in the neighborhood of 3 hours. So if you want to check that out, that was good. Yeah, I had a good time. Appreciate that. We got Rogues or The Rogues Tavern. The Rogues Tavern. Devin, reminder about your new site, devinstackblackpill.com. I added a store to it. This would be perfect for you to sell your audiobooks and more. Currently, just to showcase your current shirts, reach out to me at blackpilled at the... all right, let me just copy that and paste it somewhere. Yeah, like I said, I'll tell you what. I'll email you, and I appreciate you doing that. I just haven't had time to even really think about that last little bit here. But I'll email you about that and see what we can work out. As long as you're not a fan, you don't have any kind of like secret information scraping bullshit going. So that's the thing. That's the only thing that makes me uncomfortable. Not like I'm sure you didn't do that. But this is the sort of thing that people like me have to worry about. Like what's really in the code? You know, if I didn't do it myself, what's in there? What's in there? So it's not that I don't appreciate you doing that. It's just I got to be careful. I got to be careful about doing, just saying, oh yeah, sure, I'll put up the code that you wrote that I don't know anything about and don't have time to comb through. You know what I mean? So it's not that I don't appreciate it. I don't want you to think that. It's more of just I gotta worry about things that you might not think about. So, but all the same, I will email you, and I appreciate that. All right, John Skywalker again. You should look into Ruby Bridges' 1998 film. They made us watch it in school. Seemed very hyperbolic to me even back then, with the depiction of racial discrimination in schools. Not sure of the real story behind that event. Either way, integration was a disaster. Can try to send you my link on Disney. Link on Disney, I don't know what you mean by that, but Ruby Bridges? I thought you meant Ruby Ridge for a second, and then I was like, Ruby Bridges? I mean, I don't know. Let me look. I guess I could pull up a browser and see what that is. What's Ruby Bridges? Let me just take a little search here. Ruby Bridges, 1998. The Wonderful World of Disney. Ruby Bridges. I've never heard of that. Let's play the trailer. Oh, Florida's going to ban it, maybe? That's kind of interesting. There's a March 29th, 2023 CNN story about the movie being under review by the state of Florida. So maybe it is just like hyperbolic nonsense. Let me see let me pop it up here. This is the trailer.
Did you see Captain's glove? Yeah, it was neat. I bet if I had her glove, I could catch real good. Yeah, right.
Everything was happy and nice until the white man came.
Come on now, come on. Come on now. All right, here we go, here we go.
Uh-oh, here comes the white man. Those damn white men are coming here.
Good morning, Ms. Bridges. I'm Deputy U.S. Marshal Al Butler.
But I thought the man from the NAACP was
You're
going to...
being escorted by U.S. Marshals today, ma'am.
You guys are calling yourself niggers.
Y'all mind Miss Taylor, you here?
This is the most boring ass trailer I've ever seen in my life.
Come on, Ruby.
Time to go to the concentration camp, honey. Like, for real, where are they taking them? Is this supposed to be like the... Are they going to a concentration camp?
Wait till I open the door before you get out. We'll get behind you. The two men in the front car will walk in front of you. We'll all go in the building together. Stay between the
Oh, these are the good white men.
Do not look back, no matter what happens. Don't look back at the crowd.
They're the ones. They're the ones forcing the niglet in the
Late
school.
for a medical conference. What? Hey, what's going on here?
Two, 4, 6, 8 niggas is what we really hate. Like, what? Even the music's really bad. Like, this is so fucking cheese dick. It's ridiculous. Dun, dun, dun.
Keep them in the middle. Hold it. Hold it. Up right there.
The governor of the great state of Louisiana says you cannot enter.
Thank you, sir. The President of the United States says that I can.
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, honestly, at least with this scene or whatever, aside from like the bad acting, I'm sure there's like way. I can't believe this was This was like supposed to be the trailer. Yeah, I'm sure it's super hyperbolic and nonsense, but you know, honestly, even if this was what it was, like if it was this, like people shouting and saying they don't want to integrate because the federal government's making them do it, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. People should have done shit like this more. You know, and because they didn't, this is where they live now. Anyway, all right, let's take a look here. The plot sickens. I'm writing out a 7-day ban for saying gay men spread STIs. I didn't say kill the fags, though I should. I just stated things you can easily find on a CDC website. Oh well. Elon is a kike faggot. Thanks for the jihad on the flat earth fags. What is your take on the Sudan developments? Stay cool, Devin. The Sudan developments? What's happening in fucking Sudan? Like, what am I missing in Sudan? Do I even care what's happening in Sudan? I mean, Sudan, right? What the fuck's happening in Sudan? Do I gotta look for Sudan and see what happens? You'd probably tell me. You should assume I don't know anything about Sudan. What's happening in Sudan? I just went to news in Sudan. Oh, there's famine going on in Sudan? What else is new? Here's what came up. More than 6 guerrillian people one step away from famine in Sudan. The next one. Sudan, war crimes rampant as civilians killed in both... Yeah, this is just Africa. I'm not shocked by any of this stuff. This is just what happens in Africa. Widespread war crimes committed in Sudan. Ambivalence about Sudan's conflict. A blessing in disguise? Well, I don't know. I'm pretty ambivalent about it. Sudanese authorities seek to rearrest Bashir. Oh, okay. You know what? I did see something about this. They did have about the coup, the military coup that they had. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't care because it's Sudan, and this is just what's to be expected in countries like that, and coming to a country near you. Maybe that's not the worst thing. So that I'm ambivalent as the news report mentioned. No Fun Zone. Hey, Devin, I'm here to drop a hyper chat as I usually am a replay viewer. I made 2 sound clips for you. Feel free to use them as you will. And thanks for all the work you do. It keeps me sane when working. All right, let's see if it easily downloads with the stuff that I've got set up here. Or maybe it won't. Maybe it won't. It might not. Might not like your links.
I think they thought they saw a gun, but they don't.
Well, these are just sound, though, right? There's no video to it.
Meaningless, worthless. What to do with them and how will they find some sense of meaning in life? A combination of drugs and computer games.
I think that's the Goblin Jew, right? The first part. Let me see. What's this?
Anti-Semitism intensified.
We do need to get that one back in rotation for sure. All right. Well, thank you, No Fun Zone. 2N Dog does a O slash. Appreciate that, 2N Dog. Andromeda. Devin, I haven't been able to donate for several weeks as there's been a problem with my Odyssey account. Hopefully it's straightened out and you receive this. I greatly appreciate your work. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that, and yes, it seems to have worked.
Easy money.
Appreciate that, Andromeda. White Mormon. Keep up the great work, Brother Stack. Well, I appreciate that. Definitely. And yes, Secret Handshake, you're going your way as well. Avdamat Kalishnikova. Hello, Devin. I have a friend in the military that is deployed, and he said that you would believe, or maybe you say you wouldn't believe, how many literal faggots there are, and many of them have high ranks. I would believe. Trust me, I would believe. The entire military, when I was doing contract work with them years ago, I never met. Well, that's not entirely true. I rarely met straight white males that were in charge of anything. It was shockingly it was basically blue-haired feminists well, minus the blue hair, but mentally they were blue-haired feminists. And if they weren't blue-haired feminists, they were diversity hires or literal trannies. That's, in fact, the first time I ever encountered a tranny in my life was in a government building. That's that. I'm not surprised at all. The rank and file is slowly getting faggified. You'd have to be kind of a faggot at this point to want to die for Israel. Big Ash fan. Get in the pit, and Urban Moving shirts arrived and looking drippy as fuck. I think, is drippy good? I don't know the hip and cool lingo you kids use these days, but hopefully that's cool.
Heil Hitler, bitch!
Friendly Neighborhood Fascist, I'm surprised you've never done a deep dive on the bloodiest series of anti-white serial murders in American history. Convicted of 15 murders and suspected of over 70, the zebra murders were covered up and forgotten. The zebra murders, huh? Let me open that up. The zebra murders. All right, I'll take a look at that. Looks like it happened in the 70s. John Skywalker, would you ever look at Proud Family Louder and Prouder? The racial and homo propaganda in that is so bad, I couldn't help but laugh, especially when the statue of the slave owner they tore down appeared to be Jewish. They still blame their problems on white people. No wonder kids are so messed up. The Proud Family Louder and Prouder? I have no idea what that is. I'll do a quick search just to see. Proud Family Louder and Prouder. It's a TV. That's why I've never heard of it. It's a new TV series. It's ranked on IMDb. It's got a 3 out of 10. So at least a lot of people don't like it. But yeah, I don't know. My guess is it's just heavy-handed nonsense if it's new. They're not very good at. They're really not very good at propaganda because, well, to some extent they don't have to be. So it's more obvious to people like us. but it's not aimed at people like us anymore. I mean, it was aimed at people like us in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and to some extent the early 2000s. But nowadays, the demographic shift has already happened. So now they're just trying to amp up the non-whites to fucking hate you and want to destroy you, because that's the next phase of the plan, right? Or, phase 1, import all the people that are going to get rid of you. Phase 2, make them really want to get rid of you. Phase 3, we're in the middle of phase 2. Phase 3, get rid of you. So this is just, I would imagine, without even knowing anything about it, just by looking at the IMDb page, that this is just propaganda meant to, rustle the jimmies of all the non-whites and really get them to hate whites. My fat little retarded toe.
Money is power.
Oops. Oh, why not?
Money is power. Money is the only weapon that the Jew has to defend himself with.
Look how Jewy this fag is. Just wanted to say hi to my mom for when she catches the replay. Hello, Mrs. Retarded Toe. Buy yourself a nice steak or something with this. Well, I appreciate that. You and your mom both. Thanks for being here and supporting the show. Really appreciate that. Grabler Stabler. Hey, Devin. I've been following your work since 2016, and you're a national treasure, brother. Don't stop doing this work. Your contributions will be acknowledged for its genius in history books. Salute. Well, I don't know. That might be overplaying things a little bit. I'll be happy, honestly. I'll be happy if people actually, after I'm dead, or maybe not even that long, maybe in 20, 30 years. Hopefully I live longer than that, right? They're looking back at these things and in the same way that I went back and downloaded some old Art Bell broadcasts and they're listening to them and they like them and maybe learn a few things. I don't have any ambitions or really, I don't even think that I will realistically be in any history books. And I feel like if I end up in a history book, it probably won't be for doing this. But I appreciate it all the same. Appreciate the kind words. The Beach Boys. Just some shekels for my brother. Well, I appreciate that, Beach Boys. Arminous Revenge. I happen to know a pretty based traveling nurse, but you got me worried talking about them last stream, and you're usually dead on. Could you elaborate and potentially save me here? Look, nothing's ever 100%, right? In my experience, and this is way before I was, we did that stream talking about the romance scams and that traveling nurse, and I told you, like, a lot of these, well, I don't know if it was a lot, but like a couple of the women that were in these videos that I was looking at that got romance scammed by these obvious scammers were, basically old traveling nurses that never got married because they were traveling nurses. And that's kind of the thing. There are women that never end up married because they just travel around the country banging random guys. That's what's wrong with them. Like, they're kind of crazy because they never, think about it. Like, and just think about just the job itself, right? Like, if you're a traveling nurse, you're basically all day long, you're dealing with just disgusting shit all day. Right? You're emptying bedpans and just dealing with shit and piss and blood and disease and just fucked up people. And you're traveling, like you don't have a home base, right? Like you don't have a home. You're just traveling around the country and you're getting lonely because of this. So what do you end up doing if you're these? Trust me, I've met a lot of traveling nurses. You're just turned into like a turbo slut. So they're basically they're rootless traveling turbo sluts. Now again, not all of them. In fact, I've known, I wouldn't say traveling nurses the way that I think of it, but like nurses or medical professionals that travel for work that aren't like that. But if they're like a traveling nurse, they're just getting rented out for weeks at a time, they make a lot of money. They basically live for free in hotels, and they bang a lot of dudes. And they do it as long as they can because they're making so much money doing this shit. And it's no strings attached, right? Like, they're the kind of person that never learns how to maintain relationships because they don't have to, because it resets in every couple weeks. So all they have to do is learn how to like charm people, get in, hang out with them for a few weeks, and then they're going to be gone, anyway. So they just reset. So they never learn loyalty. I mean, definitionally, their job is anti-loyalty. It was, their job is teaching them to just make like everything's temporary, right? Like everything's temporary. And it's all worth it for the money. And the women that are okay doing that, because women are typically would rather be in community, like they'd rather have that family, that immediate family close by, and have roots. Like they like to nest more so than men. And so when there's women that participate in behavior that's atypical for women in the first place, there's always something a little bit off. Or again, not all, but usually something a little bit off. So, look, maybe that none of those things apply to your friend, but I would just keep those things in mind. In my experience, traveling nurses have been a little bit, well, like I said, they're just rootless turbo sluts. All right, let's take a look here. Where was I?
He sure did. But I'm not going down there. I was talking to the
Did I get Beach Boys?
He wants me to go talk to him because we watched the whole thing, but I'm not going down there.
I think I did. If I didn't get Beach Boys, here's for you, Beach Boys.
Cash flow checkout.
I'd like to return this duck.
He said, just some shekels for my brother. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't remember reading that. So, appreciate that, Beach Boys. Mrs. 1488 says, 1488 boys make white babies. There you go. We should have like a make white babies thing or something. I don't know what I would have here. What is this?
I'm going to put you in the hospital and stop you from having more kids.
There you go. That's I guess that's kind of like make more babies. I don't know. J Ray, 1981. Your normal citizen in the West can't grasp just how sick these gay psychopaths are. And if you point it out, they attack you because it goes against their conditioning. So tiresome, but hold the line, boys. Yeah, well, it's the Will and Grace effect. A lot of these people wouldn't have a problem finding this stuff out. That's why Obama had to hide the fact that he was gay. And look, I don't know that Michelle's a man, but the fact that I don't know if Michelle's a man or not, that's insane. That's the world we're in now, where there's a possibility, at least, that not only was Obama a pedofaggot, his wife might have been a tranny. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, you're like, no. She's just a really unattractive black woman. She's just, literally the reason why there's zero white on black rapes. Like, that's all it is. She just looks ironically, she looks like a fucking Wookiee, right? And so it's, maybe that's all. But then you see like these videos, and you're like, where like there's maybe a dick flopping around down there, and you're like, I don't know, that kind of looked like a fucking dick flopping around. Like, and man, she's built like a linebacker. I don't know, like this. The fact that we have to even ask these questions now is insane. It's insane. Yeah, I think people are starting to come around a little bit to how bad it is, but yeah, they don't have any experience with it. You really have to. I think you have to really see evil with your own two eyes to understand what evil is. And unfortunately, well, I mean, I guess maybe fortunately, a lot of people never have to experience that. Zazzy McTazbot, thanks for what you do. You introduced me to Art Bell and now Night Nation Review. Good work on the interview. Are you planning other podcast appearances? Yeah, no, those are, there's a few in the works. I don't have any dates or times yet, but hopefully I can get one of them done next week. That's kind of the plan. But I'll let you guys know as soon as I know on Gab, Twitter, and Telegram. Athematic Dissonance. All your pillbox belong to us. Anyway, they'll embrace all of this and make a hero out of the persecuted gay Obama. Those lovers were killed by bigots. Lincoln being gay used to be a conspiracy theory. Now it's used as further proof of his greatness. Really? Is that something that people are, like the left is saying, that he was some magic faggot? Let me see what you sent here. I've never even heard the conspiracy theory that Lincoln was gay. I mean, I'd believe it. I think these guys going quite a ways back are faggots. I think that's just another. I think, like, look, right now, if you've had any experience whatsoever with any kind of like MAGA movement or anything like that, you start to realize real quick how quickly the gays embed themselves. Like, it's inevitable. If you start any kind of organization that has any kind of mainstream appeal, and especially if it has any kind of money and there can be some kind of a fame attached to it, fags will get there. They'll weasel their way in. If you don't hold the line, if you don't have like the fag filter, if you don't have the anti-fag rule, if you're just one of these like libertarian MAGA faggots that's kind of like, oh, what, well, I don't care what people do in the privacy, which unfortunately that's like a lot of the Republican Party now. Fags will weasel their way into it every single time. I'm telling you, every single campaign, every single nonprofit that's conservative, quote unquote, is riddled with fags now. That's just the way that it is. And then what'd you send me here? Is this fucking long? This looks like it's gonna be long. Yeah, it's like 8 minutes long. We're not going to watch that. I might watch like the first couple seconds of it. What is this?
This guy, Abraham Lincoln.
Well, hold on.
Hey now, y'all have probably heard about this guy, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. He won the Civil War and landed his mug on the $5 bill.
Did y'all know he was a
while
faggot?
Being a total bearded daddy. Mercy. Lincoln was famous for having a way with words.
70 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
But he also had a way with hot, young men. Yes, your history book has censored Lincoln's.
Well, all right. Well, okay. I don't need to see any more of that shit. That might be something to look at later when I have the stomach for it. That's too much satanic gay murdering. But like, look, that goes along exactly with everything else I've been talking about tonight. It's not. And look, I don't know. I've never looked into Lincoln being a faggot, but I wouldn't be surprised because they all seem to have been faggots. Or at the very least, they're sexual degenerates. with maybe a handful of exceptions, they all seem to be sexual degenerates, and they all seem to be killers. And I just think that's the reality that no one really faces. That to get to that level in the social hierarchy, you got to be willing to just fucking kill everything that you see, apparently. All right. Athematic Dissonance. This is all very reminiscent of Jew Mike Nichols' Primary Colors. Not the best movie, but fairly honest in its treatment of Clinton-era politics. Might be worth a deep dive if you haven't seen it. I think that sounds familiar. I'll go back and look at it. I don't know that that's like a... I'll have to go back and look at that. A lowly scribe in God's army. We're going to need a bigger pit. Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't... Luckily, it's really inexpensive to produce pits. They call me Mr. Niggs. Finally, something I can share to normie conservative because the only thing they love more than niggers is hating Obama. Yeah, I mean, look, a lot of this stuff, I'm telling you, wasn't that big of a secret. If you were, and I was at the time, I was just kind of a basic Republican conservative person, right? And the only thing that was different, the only thing that separated me from, say, a boomer at the time is the boomers were all watching Fox News, which was, they weren't touching this thing with a 10-foot pole, whereas I got my news about half on the internet and half on talk radio. And even, you'd be surprised, so maybe they will have heard of it, because even people like Rush Limbaugh, he didn't talk about specifically the stuff we talked about tonight, but he would say stuff, he would use the term bathhouse Barry, I think. I seem to remember him saying that. And would allude to this kind of a thing all the time. And I know for a fact, when I lived in Maryland, there was a local talk radio station that actually did a call with Larry Sinclair. And I actually pulled my car over and listened to the entire, it was like an hour-long interview that they did with this guy. And they brought up all these things. And so this was, Maryland, really close to the D.C. I mean, I'm sure if you were in D.C., you would have heard the broadcast if you listened to AM radio. So it was out there. It was limited hangout to some extent. Like, you had to be listening to conservative talk radio or, which, again, none of the nationally syndicated shows. It had to be some kind of local show. And you had to be listening to or, reading stuff on the internet. And other than that, it went nowhere. Like they're not the Boston Globe, but the Globe, just the Globe, was the only newspaper to cover it, and that was seen as kind of the Inquirer. And look, the Inquirer, they report a bunch of garbage rumor stuff, but they report every once in a while they report the story no one's going to touch because they're not worried about reputation. They're the Inquirer, and the Globe is kind of similar, where it's like whatever We'll go with the story that's too hot for the New York Times because we're the fucking Globe. Who cares, right? And they're the only ones that covered it. So no one took it really seriously. And even in that press conference, at the end of the press conference, he answers questions. And the only people asking questions that seem like they're even remotely buying it, and you can't see the people that are asking the questions, you can just hear them. They all have foreign accents. All the Americans that ask questions are almost like laughing as they ask the questions because they're just like, this is preposterous. Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. I'm sure that Obama was smoking crack in the back of a limo while getting head from you. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's really what happened. Like, you could tell that they didn't buy a word of what he was saying. But then you'd hear someone with like an Asian accent, like a Japanese accent or something like that. And you can tell they do believe it. They're buying every fucking word of it. Because they're not living in the Obama love fest that is the American media at the time. To them, this all sounded like something that was very possible. He sounded credible. And so about half the questions were from people that had, some of them were unidentifiably foreign, but they had foreign accents. And they were asking questions that led you to believe that they at least kind of thought this was real. Let's see here. Zero. I absorbed it all as a kid. Obama was my generation's god. The Rucka Rucka song made him sound super cool. And Mexicans were the I think he meant were the majority. Yeah, no, Obama was, there was literally nothing bad about Obama anywhere. It was all good all the time. And some of it was because they were in on the scheme, and some of it were where they were socially pressured into not saying anything negative about the quote-unquote first black president, because then they'd be racist, and that's the worst thing ever to be. And so they didn't want to be racist. And even the Republicans, they were afraid to ask for a fucking birth certificate because they were getting called racist for asking for a birth certificate. And in fact, you had Republican candidates in debates when the birth certificate issue would be brought up. They would say, look, I don't believe in that. That's, you know, I'm not one of these racists that are pushing. Quite frankly, I think that whole discussion is racist. And they would just shut it down, call it like so. You had nobody representing you at all on either side of the aisle. And they just wanted, they just wanted King Obama to sit there and make homosexuality as normalized as possible. And then, then leave the country in a shambles. Pave the way for, I guess, a Trump presidency, which also did nothing for us. Florida man. I was old enough to remember when he was running for president. I remember being stuck in my dad's truck on the long drives home, and he'd have Sean Hannity on, and Hannity milked the shit out of the Reverend Wright, America's Chickens. Yeah. That Sean Hannity was in my rotation, because when I had to drive to work, because I worked for the evening news, and I had to, so I worked across town from where I lived. So I had like this hour plus drive right during the middle of talk radio time. And I would hear Sean Hannity. I would hear Rush Limbaugh. I would hear Dennis Prager. I'd hear like all the big syndicated shows. And they played the fuck out of that clip because boomers were so offended. And in retrospect, it's, if you're a Zionist, that's the perfect clip. It's a double whammy. It gets your boomers all riled up about the Muslims, that did 9/11 and this fake patriotism and totally takes the focus off of who might have actually done that, and that that you should ever think that maybe America isn't or maybe shouldn't be. And that's why they were mad, honestly. The reason why people like Hannity were playing that clip over and over and over again and talking about how terrible it was is really, if you look at what Reverend Wright said, as much as he was probably a literal demon, the one thing that the idea that he was putting forth was that maybe America shouldn't be dying for Israel in the Middle East, because if they do, there could be consequences. Now, again, he didn't say it like that, but that's the idea that's behind what he's saying. And that's an idea you could not allow boomers to not only could they not entertain it, they had to be actively offended to the point of anger. If anyone suggested that America going to the Middle East and fighting all these wars in the desert was maybe not the best thing. Now, they had to firmly believe it was the best thing, and they did. That's why Sean Hannity played it over and over and over again to a audience of millions who never got sick of it, because they were so brainwashed into believing that anything that we did for Israel was something that God wanted. And so the idea that this black liberation, pastor would say anything negative about the wars in the Middle East, that was so offensive. That was beyond the pale. And look, it was so much to these boomers that Obama had to renounce Reverend Wright and say that he no longer speaks for me, and I've separated myself. He doesn't stand for the same values, because he knew that everyone was so brainwashed when it came to dying for Israel that he had to get as far away from that fucking statement as possible. They call me Mr. Niggs. It's funny to consider how this power is concentrated solely because of money. Ken O'Keefe is correct in saying that the head of the snake is the financial system. How do you kill the snake? chop it up into little bits. I mean, I don't know. You can't really get rid of a monopoly like that, right? I mean, in terms of the banking monopoly, I don't think you can just decentralize central banking. Maybe there's a way you can do that. I think the first step is just we don't even know. We don't even know who the shareholders of the National Reserve or the Federal Reserve are. We don't even know. We don't even know who these people are. We don't know who we owe money to. So that would be the first step. How about we know who the fuck these people are? And how many of them are there? And are they all Jews? I mean, I think that would be important information to know, right? How do we not know? How is that not written in the law that we should know this thing? Like, this is like a basic thing that you should know. Like, it should not be some anonymous group is controlling your currency. That's fucking insane. That's insane. And just that but no one knows anything about money. There's a reason why public schools will never teach their students anything about cash. I mean, there's more reasons than just that, but that's a big fucking reason. If you're homeschooling, that's one of the top subjects you should cover, and you should cover it early. Start talking about money, not just like the big stuff like Federal Reserve, although that should absolutely be part of this. But you should talk about currency and just the practical aspects of money, saving up for things. I'm a firm believer in doing what my parents never did and giving your kids an allowance, but then just also actively help them money manage it. Don't just give them like, oh, you get $5 a week and you can buy all the candy you want. It's all your money. Just do whatever you want. No, fuck that. They're kids. You give them $5 a week or whatever, but then you show them how to manage it. You explain like, all right, this is money that's put into this account. What are some things that you want to achieve with this money? Let's work out a plan. Like, how long is it going to take you? Maybe you can do extra chores to get more money or whatever, right? And just start teaching them in a way that's realistic and compatible to how the rest of the world works. So by the time you kick them out into the real world, they're not just trying to figure out like what are bills, no, make them fucking pay some, like figure some out. Like, obviously don't be like a psycho about it, but you need to get them understanding money as early as possible, and understanding investing, and understand, at least even if you don't have them investing personally, understanding how that whole system works, understanding how the Federal Reserve works. That should be part of the curriculum. That's the kind of stuff that they should be teaching in social studies, not like the cultural appropriation of fucking the Navajos or whatever, right? And all this fucking bullshit. Like, think of all the extra stuff you could teach your kids if you could strip out of the fucking nonsense that's in class. Just imagine what it's like now. Think of just what it was like when you were a kid. When I was a kid going to elementary school, I'd say about 80% of it was bullshit. When you were talking about history, it was always just like a string of bad things white people had done to everybody else. That was history class. That was social studies. Social studies was just like this, let's see what bad thing white people did this week. Oh, we gave the Indians smallpox. Oh, yeah, everyone feel bad. You gave the Indians smallpox. All right, next week we're going to talk about how white people had slaves. Oh, great, we had slaves. This is really horrible. And every fucking week that's what it was. Imagine if you were to strip all that away. And look, still teach them this. Here's the thing, is you still need to teach them about those events and just give them the right information. Because if you don't teach them anything, when they go out into the world and they hear about this stuff, they're just going to get programmed. And there's not going to be anything in that memory address, right? So when the data comes in, it's just going to go right back in there. And you need to at least have that counter argument ready to go. So when they hear about slavery and smallpox and all this other stupid shit, they know the facts behind it, and they don't feel guilty about it. And don't tell them the Earth is flat, you fucking pancocks. Let's see here. And where was I? Oh, innate love of hockey. I had to take a drink there. Innate love of hockey. Thanks, Devin. Enjoyed your visit with NNR. Appreciate that. So did I. J. Ray 1981, dude, that last cut of all the people praising Obama in all the screen zooming out is chillingly the same as all the local news montages across the country repeating each other saying this is a threat to democracy video. Yeah, then this isn't, by the way, that clip is not like someone's montage. That's how it aired. Like, this was part of a commercial. Let me get to it. Like this wasn't like some guy on YouTube edited it out this way. This is how you saw it when it aired on TV.
I pledge
to be a servant to our president
and all mankind.
Because together we can, together we are, and
together we will be the change that we seek.
Yeah, they wanted it to look like that. That's what's fucking freaky. They wanted it to look like that. Nexus, hey Devin, great stream. I know you don't care for drama, but what are your thoughts on Ethan Ralph's ongoing crusade against Nick Fuentes and America First? Ralph brought to light the many pedophiles in Fuentes' movement, such as Ali Akbar. They all deserve the pit. Yeah, you know, that's their thing, whatever. I will just say this. I pointed out years ago that Ali Akbar was a creepy-ass gay pedo. Years ago. And I put it on Telegram, I put it on Gab, it got thousands of views. There's no excuse, and I wasn't the only one. But I was a pretty big account that I know a lot of these people were aware of, and there's no possible way people didn't see the proof that I posted years before any of this shit happened. And look, I didn't know at first, like when I first was working in like MAGA politics, I saw him on Twitter like everyone else did, right? Like he was all big into the MAGA stuff. And I didn't know all this. I didn't even know he was gay. I didn't know any of this creepy shit about him until like later on. But after I found out about this stuff, let's just say I wasn't the only one finding out about this stuff. Like it very rapidly spread kind of in the rumor mill about influencers that everyone kind of knew. And then like when I found those screenshots of him liking that 12-year-old boy's Instagram account and making those creepy I posted that shit the second I found that. I posted that shit on Telegram. People should have known about him. And if people are still affiliating with him today, that's kind of gross, you know? But yeah, that's not my fight. And I don't get wrapped up in drama, but there's really no excuse. There's no excuse to not know that he's like that. And because everyone fucking knew. And in fact, I think, I'm not positive, I think that after I posted those screenshots on Telegram, Milo might have reposted I don't think he reposted my post. I think he copied and pasted the screenshots into his Telegram channel like a couple days later. But I'm pretty sure Milo posted that stuff shortly after I did. So there's another. I mean, people were spreading this information out, and everyone that I talked to that affiliated with him, which isn't very many people. I don't talk to a lot of people, to be honest. But when I would mention it, people didn't seem that concerned, and I'm sure there are people that are regretting being unconcerned about that now. Let's see here. Nordic Track, good evening, Mr. Stack. Have you ever looked into the Big Mike theory? Also recently read Day of the Rope, great book. Looking forward to the sequel. As a white pill, currently raising a John Connor, you are doing God's work. Thank you. Well, I appreciate that. Have I ever looked at... Yeah, I'm telling you, like, it's one of those things where, I mean, part of me is like, I think she's just like an ugly black chick, you know? I think she's just, black chicks are just kind of ugly and masculine looking, and I think she could just but then then all this shit about Obama being a faggot, like an actual faggot, and it's like, well, I mean, there's two ways of looking at this. Yeah, I mean, she could be a tranny, but also maybe because he's a faggot, he just picked like a real fucking masculine negress. You know what I mean? Like, so it's tough. I don't know. If I found out Michelle Obama had a cock, would not be surprised even a tiny bit. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be like, okay, so now we know. I think it's entirely possible. And it's fucked up that it's entirely possible. Night Nation Review, Obama oversaw a massive increase in the browning of America. If you look at the infographic I have on the of the transformation, it got 10% browner under Bathhouse Berry. Yeah, well, he's the one that signed the Dream Act and all this, or no, not this. It wasn't. It was a executive order. So it wasn't even something like it was illegal. It was an executive order. Well, it was illegal because he shouldn't have been president. He had no authority to be president in the first place. That whole fucking presidency was a sham. But no, it doesn't matter, right? Effectively, it doesn't matter, right? It still happened. But yeah, he ushered in fags and brown people at an alarming rate, and that's why you had the backlash that elected Trump. So many people were people that I remember in 2007 having conversations with people who called themselves Republicans and conservatives or whatever, who were actually kind of excited by Obama because they were caught up in like the media frenzy and the charisma and like all the cool kids liking Obama. Like it's kind of disgusting when you see these people that they really don't have any principles and how they're just 90% of what they do is informed by social pressures and outside thinking rather than inside thinking. But I saw it happen. And like these. And the optimistic, the funniest shit in the world was the optimistic, well, at least now blacks won't call us racist anymore because we've had a black, like that was something that so many Republicans said. So many Republicans thought that like it's worth having this murdering gay pedo as president because then blacks will stop calling me a racist. Like that was, and not only was it obviously fucking wrong, like that, like they got called even more racist because they got more confident because they got a president. Like the opposite happened. It's people's lack of understanding of this of how this shit works and how people. I don't know. I don't get it. But luckily, that a lot of these people, like the boomers that had these very backward. Retarded views of race are they're not going to be in charge much longer. They're slowly slipping away, very slowly slipping away. Mr. Choli, greetings, Devin. Have you watched The Demoralization? What Yuri Bezmenov didn't tell you. If I didn't think it was a piece of puzzle we're missing, I wouldn't bother you for weeks about it. I'd love to get your feedback on it. Yeah, I actually watched it before the show, knowing that you would. Knowing that you would ask me. I don't think academic agent's wrong about the influences that were in the country. I don't think he's wrong about any of that stuff. I don't think many people are disputing that though. That Yuri Bezmenov was, I don't want to say he was a full-on grifter, but he was kind of like he was doing a shtick. He was a Jewish Russian guy that defected to America and found that he could do a shtick. He could do he could make money presenting some of the secrets of the way the Soviets operated to a conservative audience that would eat that shit up, and he wouldn't be totally wrong about what he was saying, but yeah, he would leave some very important pieces out of that puzzle, partially I don't know if consciously or not, but partially probably because of his Jewish heritage. He didn't want to point out that a lot of these other forces at work were Jewish, like him. Now, he converted to Christianity, or at least he did publicly. That's what he said. And I don't know. It is odd that he was pushed so much in the mainstream to the extent where there's a clip of him in I forget what video game it was, but there's a video game that plays clips of Yuri Bezmenov talking about, like, it's some like Cold War video game from, I want to say like 2018 or something like that, like in like the intro video, because I remember someone posted that, and when I saw that, I was like, I immediately was like, oh, okay, so this is, they want people to see this stuff. And I get it, like it totally points to, it points away from Jews. It's so I don't want to say he was a gatekeeper, but maybe he kind of was. Maybe he was sharing some truths, but was in doing so kind of obscuring other truths. So yes, I did finally watch it. And yeah, I don't disagree with anything in there. I don't think it's a missing. I think most people understand that. I don't think it's a missing piece necessarily. Maybe it is it probably is to like MAGA boomers who just, they watch Yuri Bezmenov and think that that everything, it's all the commies, and they're not putting they're not asking themselves who the fucking commies are. And so maybe that would be a good video for people like that. Dorktron, good to hear you informal on Pete Quinones' show. Your listeners would probably like those archives. Lots of history, spurgy, and some based guests. Nice surprise to see you on there. Keep up the great work and keep spreading the pills. Yeah, the Pete Quinones show interview was pretty good. He was cool, and the link to that interview is on my Telegram, probably Twitter and Gab as well. So if you want a link to that interview, it was I felt like it was good. Asthmatic dissonance. I went through Europe in the summer of 2009, and everywhere I went, the people were thrilled to speak with an American about Obama. Maybe the only time Americans weren't despised. I didn't care about Obama, but their approval made me feel good, like the country had done the right thing. How it works. Yeah, well, that was the funny thing too, is the whole world was told that America is finally not racist because they elected a black man, and it's so fucked. It's so fucked. The Jewish media doesn't just have its tentacles in America. That's spread all throughout the world, and this caricature of America being this awful racist country, the way it's portrayed in movies, that's how most Europeans experience America. Most Europeans aren't coming to America. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But they've seen a lot of American movies, right? Because that's who makes the movies. And how does it make America? It makes us look like a bunch of, hillbillies with sheets on that go around just burning crosses in all the black people's yard. Like, that's literally what these Europeans, how they viewed us. And so when Obama was elected, it was like, oh, America's finally evolved. Finally evolved. And, you got the approval. You finally got the approval. They stopped hating us. Let's see here. Perturbed. I know you've touched on this before, but what, if any, religion are you currently? Thanks for everything you do. Much appreciated. Well, like I said, I'm not really... I don't go to any church right now. I was raised Mormon. I think my values, that's where my values come from. Culturally, I guess I would say. In a weird way, I feel ethnically Mormon. I've said that. But unfortunately, there's just not any church that lines up with my values. And I know how that might sound to some people, like, oh, well, you shouldn't find a church that lines up with your values. You should line your values up with the church. It's like, but there's no church that I feel like is, at least not like any big institution that is that is worthy of that. Like, you know, these aren't people that, in my mind, would have a rightful claim to God's authority. Quite frankly, like I feel like they've all kind of dropped the ball, and the ones that maybe haven't gotten real bad are on their way, and so it's difficult. And I haven't always, but like most of my adult life, when I asked that question, I've just said, "Oh, I'm agnostic," and I know how annoying that is, and so I haven't really said that. Or at least not recently. It's just more like, you know, I don't know. Like I wish there was. That's kind of the missing piece to the puzzle, right? That we don't have a religion that is that has a ethnic component to it, that is going to protect the interest of white people, while simultaneously inspiring us to be better people and to be like a large family that works together. And to some extent, to the exclusion of others. I think that's healthy, that we prioritize our own needs and over the needs of others. I think that's something that's sorely lacking in the world. I don't see anything like that. And so that's why when we've talked about it, you know, somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but somewhat a little bit serious, about why we need to kind of start a cult or something, because it's like there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there that is and honestly, that's why there's so much bickering on the right, because we are all these little like no one really believes it. Like I think you know, maybe a small percentage of, like, just as an example, the Tradcat type people, a small percentage of them actually believe it, right? But a lot of them are just jumping on a bandwagon. They see it as like something popular. You know, the ortho bros, same kind of thing. There's probably like a small percentage that really fucking believe it. But a lot of them are they're looking for a religious community, and that seems the most tolerable, so they're going for it, you know. And I don't think that's going to be a winning strategy. Like if your members don't really believe it, and I've talked about this in the past too, they have to believe it like a suicide bomber believes he's getting 72 virgins. I mean, you have to like really believe it. Not like, you know, pay it lip service and bring your kids to church, and maybe your wife believes it because girls are dumb and they'll just believe anything. But I mean, like, you actually really fucking believe it. You know, like you have to like really fucking believe it, and not be afraid of death, and feel inspired to do the right thing, and know that if you die in service of this right thing, that you will find peace in the knowledge that you will ascend to something better. Like, you have to actually really fucking believe it. And I don't think that a lot of people that claim to be religious and get it, and even the people that get in these really spurgy theological debates online, I don't even think a lot of those people fucking believe it. I think they're just more arguing. It almost sounds like people arguing like whether Star Wars or Star Trek is the better sci-fi franchise, you know, where they're just arguing about stupid, like it's just like their favorite fiction, you know, that they're little they're just fanboys of a different story. And you know, so it's like arguing about, oh no, actually Obi-Wan Kenobi is way better than Captain Kirk. It's like, it's fucking stupid. Like I don't think they actually really believe hardcore in what they're talking about, so much as they want their franchise to be the cool one, but you know, at the end of the day, would they die for it? You know, like even the guy that viral video that went around of the guy sobbing when the new Star Wars trailer came out. I mean, that guy really likes Star Wars, you know, and he's not going to fucking die for it, though. I mean, I don't know, maybe he would, but I doubt it. I don't think he would die so that they could keep making more Star Wars movies. And there might be some psychos out there that would, but that's the thing, is you have to like be so fucking into it that you would lay down your life for it, unquestioningly. And because religious people did that for eons, and I think that this deconstruction of religious institutions and traditions and communities that has taken place over the last several decades has resulted in a lot of people that just don't have that kind of faith in it anymore. And it's understandable. I mean, look, I guess you could say I'm one of them, right? Like, I don't have any faith in something like that right now. And I wish that I did. Let's see here. Nordic Track, Mr. Stack, you mentioned that you wanted to dissect the movie The Tao of Steve. Are you still going to pursue that? Did I never do that? I thought I did something about that. Maybe I know I watched it. Did I never do that? I don't know if I did that. I'd have to think. Yeah, it'd be something that'd be worth doing. I mean, it's funny because it was like I saw it a long time ago, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit to certain aspects of girl psychology. And then I found out years and years later that like it had become like a cult classic. Yeah, I mean, it would be worth taking a look at, but I thought I had done something about it already. Maybe, see, that's the problem when you've done so many of these things, is it's easy for me to prepare. Like, I might have even just like, maybe I didn't do it, but I just did all the prep work for it, and then I got sidetracked, and then just never did it. I'll have to go back and, what I need like a catalog of some sort that kind of goes over all the topics covered in the streams that I do. Man, I wouldn't want that job though. I wouldn't want to because that's like so many hours of that's so many fucking hours of stream. But that would probably be a useful thing to do, right? Have some kind of like summary that you could, with keywords you could search. I don't know if I see that I didn't do it, I'd probably do it, but I don't know if I might have done it already. Alimir, Devin, when you say you're going to put our favorite movie clips and funny videos in your notes and watch them later, are you fibbing to us? Are you really watching them because you still haven't commented on one I sent a few weeks ago? Oh no, you just don't understand how big my notes are. I'm not lying. They're going in the notes. Now, I'm not promising that I'll get to them in a timely fashion, and it's even possible I won't get to them at all, because there is a massive notepad text file that is just links and people saying stuff. And look, you gotta remember, like this text file goes back. Well, I mean, actually, the one that I've got now doesn't go back years, but it goes back several months. And I've got other text files that go back years. So yeah, it's going in the notepad. I'll tell you what, it is no promise whatsoever that it will eventually be addressed on a stream, or because I might watch it and then just, I don't use it. But it does go. It does. If I say I'm going to pop it into my notes, it gets copied and pasted into a text file. It's just a massive text file with a lot of stuff, and people are always hitting me up with stuff, and I'm not going to get to all of it. I mean, I appreciate you guys sending me stuff, because sometimes it's you're doing my work for me a little bit, showing me something cool. But you gotta understand, I'm getting bombarded with stuff all the time, so I might not always get to it. Let's see here. White Cake, hi Devin, long-time fan here. Love your work. Have you seen that Gonzalo Lira, Coach Red Pill, recently tried to escape Ukraine into Hungary? It appears he was caught at the border and is headed to a gulag. He said he won't survive it. Damn shame. He did great content on the war and geopolitics. Yeah, I did see that. I saw his videos before, that he that I guess were he had set up to, he had timed to like premiere later, about trying to cross the border, and I watched those as they premiere, and it was just like, wow, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? But it just sounded like a harebrained scheme, like, oh, I'm going to try to just cross the border at a border crossing. Like, and he's acting like it's not going to be a big, like, you've heard of computers, right? It's not that, I've been through. I've given a Ukrainian. I was at an airport, but like, I've gone through the Ukrainian system with a passport. They've got computers. It's not like this isn't like some kind of, especially during a war, right? They're going to check that stuff out. They're going to look you up on a computer. It's not that hard if they've told you not to leave the country to add your name to a list that if you try to leave the country, you're on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what he was thinking. And maybe he just wasn't thinking clearly because he'd been in a Ukrainian prison for so long. I can understand how that might affect your mental state. And so maybe he was just saying, fuck it. And, had had enough. It's just that seemed like a really stupid idea. Like, it seemed like an insane idea to just try to cross at the border. Like, it would, because here's the thing, you're going to get the same. Here's what doesn't make sense to me, right? If you get caught, you get caught. It doesn't matter if you get caught at the actual border crossing station, or if you get caught crossing somewhere illegally, like in a blank spot in the border patrol's purview or whatever. Like, or at least you try, right? Like, if they catch you trying to sneak out, or if they catch, whether it's at the checkpoint or not, I kind of feel like it's going to be the exact same result, right? Like, so why not try to do it the sneaky way? Why are you going through the fucking turnstiles when it's, you get busted just as hard as if you tried to sneak around them? So I don't understand. I don't understand why he didn't try to do that. Or alternatively, we don't know how much longer this war is going to go on, so maybe this would be a bad idea, but he seemed to indicate that he's got access to a lot of money. Why can't you just hide out somewhere in Ukraine and just not use the internet? Just don't be on the internet. Because you're not going to be able to be on the internet in the gulag, right? So why not just hide out and wait for things maybe to get, maybe for an opportunity to show itself, right? Like, maybe find a way to hide out. And I know how cheap things are in Ukraine. If you got, Coach Red Pill money, you've probably got money to hide out somewhere. And just don't go on the fucking internet. Don't use phones and shit that are tied to your. I could hide out in Ukraine. Like, just don't try to be a fancy boy about it, right? Just fucking hide out somewhere, and wait for an opportunity, wait for something to happen. Maybe, right? Go to a town that you think the Russians are going to take at a certain point, right? Why not do that? Why not go to some town that's close to, that that the Russians that want to take, that you think at some point they will take, and hide out there, especially because there are probably lots of places to hide out, right? If a lot of people are evacuating. So it'd probably be an easy place to find a place to hide out at. And then if you're Coach Red Pill especially, he seems to think that Russia's gonna have its way with Ukraine, right? And take whatever they want. So wouldn't you just wait there, and then once Russia takes that area, well, now you're behind Russian lines, and they'd probably high-five you. I mean, because he was featured on Russian news as an example of, oh, look how terrible the Ukrainians are. So, he could do like a little media tour and be part of their propaganda for a day, and they'd let him loose, probably, Now, I don't know. It's easy for me to say that sitting here and not being the guy that's in Ukraine, right after being in prison. So I just think that it was, I said at the time, I was like, why is he doing that? Like, what the fuck? It is what it is. We'll see what happens. All right. Canine friend with the big dick money.
Money is power. Money is the only weapon that the Jew has to defend himself with.
Look how Jewy this fag is. All right, canine friend. Negative on the furry, or the fury, or the furry. They need to go to the pit too. Appreciate your efforts on the streams. Well, I think you mean furries. I don't know how furries came up, but absolutely. If you got a furry, then in your life, you either straighten them up, straighten them out, or take them to the
grocery store. Oh God.
That's right, because the pit is too good for the furries. Marvin Heemeyer. Marvin Heemeyer. Would you consider reviewing Oppenheimer? Saw it in theaters with my family and quickly realized it was blatant Jewish communist propaganda. My dad and I agreed it was anti-American BS, but my mom and two sisters liked it. I don't know what I expected at this point. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get around to seeing it. I haven't made any effort to see it just because, like, I haven't. I mean, I don't have a theater anywhere close to me. I think the nearest theater is over 100 miles away or something like it. There's no theater really close by at all. So it would take some doing for me to see it, or I could download some shitty cam version of it, but I hate doing that. I hate doing that. But yeah, it's probably exactly, it's probably exactly as you're saying. That's what I'm assuming that it would be. Nightfire, the largest U.S. denomination Fearers? Maybe you're saying, I don't know if you mean features. Or is that the name? Fearers? Was $10,000 with Salmon Chase on it. Chase financed the war in which wiped out so many white Americans. Questionable background, but his mom was a Ralston, many of whom were screenwriters. Well, I'm having a hard time following this. The largest U.S. denomination Führers? I'm going to look up that word because I think that's some typo, but I don't know. Maybe it's not. Führers? What is that? Let me see. Yeah, it's trying to autocorrect the features. It doesn't like that either. No, search instead for Führers. No. Okay, that's a typo then. I'm assuming. So the largest U.S. denomination features was $10,000 with Salmon Chase on it. See, I don't know what that means. Who's Salmon Chase? Salmon Chase. Salmon P. Chase. Is that like J.P. Morgan's relative or something? Let me see. Or not J.P. Morgan. Oh, he's the Chase in the J.P. Morgan Chase, probably, right? American politician and jurist who served the 6th Chief Justice, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, yeah. So he's the Chase in J.P. Morgan Chase, I'm assuming. He was the Secretary of Treasury back in 18-something, late 1800s. All right, okay. So the largest U.S. denomination something was $10,000 with Salmon Chase on it. Chase financed the war, which wiped out some. You're gonna have to. I don't know what that Führers is supposed to be. That's what's throwing the whole rest of this sentence off into nonsense land. Chase financed the war, which wiped out so many white Americans. Questionable background, but his mom was a Ralston, many of whom were screenwriters. What about Ralston Purina, the great dog food manufacturers and cereal manufacturers? Yeah, not sure what the other part meant, though. Suzuki Samurai. Gonna catch the replay. The Wookiees need to get in the pit. What are you talking about? The Wookiees need to get in the pit.
Battery's not included. He's under your control.
Linus the Bannerless. I always catch the replay, so when I heard the Romance Edition was lost to the ether, I was really sad. But thanks for the bonus content. My friend's brother, 50-ish, recently lost his wife and then found a scammer. After giving the scammer every dollar he had, 6 figures, he took his own life. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm utterly shocked at how easy it is for these people to get boomers who won't even give their own children money for them to give them all their money. It's look, for some of them I get it, right? Like if you're old and have dementia, like that's one thing, right? And that is some of what's going on. And I mean, I was listening to ham radio guys talking one night. There was this old guy who was literally, he was in a home, and he was really happy. He was a happy old guy, but you could also tell he wasn't all there. And he started talking about how he was getting Bitcoin because this nice young man from Africa had called him up, and it was horrifying because you knew immediately it was a scammer, and the more he talked about it, the more it confirmed it. And he wouldn't believe it. Like the people he was talking to were like, "Dude, you got scammed." And he's like, "No, he was such a nice man." So it's one thing. I think it's always elder abuse to some extent, but it's just, sometimes it's self-inflicted by some of these people. They should know better. And I get it. They weren't around technology or whatever. But I mean, if it's the idea like that, because these scammers are never showing them people that would be appropriate for who they should end up with. Like when you see these guys that are like in their 60s and they think they have like some 19-year-old Slavic woman, it's like, no, that's not real. That's not real, dude. That's never going to happen. Sorry. You're not rich or smart enough ever again to get a girl like that. It's just never going to happen. And maybe it's like the lottery, right? People say that the reason why they buy lottery tickets is so they can enjoy the fantasy of what it would be like if they won, and that knowing that they have a chance. So maybe it's like that, right? Maybe they can say, well, they spent all that money to have that. But that's tragic what happened to your friend's dad, and it's shockingly common. Let's see here. Sons of the Serpent. Let's see here. Been a long time. This would explain why Barry Soetoro's name, Barack Obama, translates as lightning fell from the heaven in Hebrew. The Holy Bible, Luke 10:18, in the greatest story ever told, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a.k.a. Ursa Minor Beta, one of the grand galleries of the Great Pyramid of Giza. All right, I'm not following with that last part. Where it just sounds like you rattled off a bunch of different things. But yeah, I'd never heard that Barack Obama translated to lightning fell from the heavens in Hebrew. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, but and you're missing the Hussein. His middle name is Hussein. Avdemat Kalishnikova. Hey, Devin, a follow-up on fags in the military. On a base overseas, there was a serial rapist who would knock men and women out with a frozen water bottle at night and then rape them. I don't know if he was ever caught. Like half a dozen people got raped. Well, that's your new United States military, right? It's going to get more like that. And the good men don't want to join that shit anymore, and I for one don't blame them. John Skywalker, have you done a review of What's Eating Gilbert Grape with Leonardo DiCaprio and Johnny Depp? If not, I think it could be entertaining, like your retard stream about Radio 2003. Although I do feel bad for retarded people, I think we should care for them. It is stress relief to laugh sometimes. I mean, I don't know. I don't really see it. I mean, I've seen the movie before, and I don't really see it as being that profound. The subversiveness is pretty apparent. You know, the fact that he's banging that married chick, and his mom is like $1 billion, and it's kind of like ruining all their lives, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what I would have to say about it. There's not really much to say about it. There's not like a whole lot of hidden messages in it. It's all pretty just what you see is what you get with that movie. Not a bad movie though either. Well, I mean, you know, it's degenerate or whatever, but in terms of story structure and directing and cinematography and everything else, it's a well put together film. And to be honest, if you've been to the Midwest, small towns in the Midwest, you know, there's often people like that. You know, it's not a wildly inaccurate depiction of certain areas in the country. Let's take a look here. Finkelstein Solutions, or that's to usury. And they just gave me a BitChute link with no context whatsoever. It's bad enough that it's a BitChute link. BitChute links almost never work. I'm going to try it with... I'll try to download it and see what happens here. What is this? What is this nonsense? What is this, like schizo shit? What is this? All right. Well, I don't know what this is. Okay, here we go. Zero. Could you do a content creation class? I don't know what you mean. Like a content creation class? Well, like video editing? I mean, you can learn all the video editing and shit like that on YouTube videos. Surprisingly, that's the kind of stuff that's not banned from YouTube. You can find out how to do that. In terms of content creation, I don't know. I've never liked content creator because it just seems so like industrialized, or I don't know what the right word is for it, because I don't think of it as like, oh, I must create my content for the day. I look for stories that I want to tell, and I guess that's all it is. It's just I have a background in video editing and broadcast, and so I kind of already have like an idea as to how I want to present things, and then I research something that I think that people should want to know about. I don't really, there's not really like a formula, and a lot of it's not even really something I don't think you can teach. The things you can teach would be how to use the software, but all that stuff's easily, you can, I mean, that's how I learned it, right? Originally was watching YouTube videos on how to use Cinema 4D and After Effects and all this other stuff. And going back years and years and years ago when I was first learning, I was just learning by watching tutorials. So I don't know how useful that would be, because I don't really see it as like, oh, and here are the five steps to being a content creator. All right. Now, first thing you need to do is you need to make sure you have an audience, bro. I can't tell if I'm doing like an English accent or a surfer. It's like somewhere in the middle. Anyway. John Skywalker, I find myself sometimes giving money and food to homeless black people around my city. People say I'm too nice to them. Is that my white savior complex coming out or white guilt? I feel like I have a consciousness about this, but I also have been taken advantage of. Am I abnormal, or can you relate? I mean, I used to give homeless people money until I moved to a big city where I just fucking started hating homeless people. You know, like when you wouldn't see homeless people very often, it was one thing, but you actively wanted them to die. Like when I lived in D.C., and there was just, especially when it was like the same fucking homeless people over and over and over again, and they just were like, they were just mean and fucking everywhere. You just wanted them to get hit by cars or die of exposure or AIDS or something. Like it just, and I wouldn't even make eye contact. I went from like, you know, at least trying to acknowledge their humanity to just it happened pretty quick. I used to at least acknowledge them as people and look their way and maybe go, oh, sorry, man. You know, oh, I just have my card. I don't have any cash, bro. To just like staring straight ahead and keep walking, not even acknowledge that they exist. And that's just how I roll now. I just don't give a fuck anymore. I've just known, especially when I worked as a bouncer, it's just like you learn to fucking hate homeless people because you realize that like how many people, very few homeless people are homeless because of things outside their control. Like imagine how many people in your life that you'd have to fucking, imagine how many bridges you would have to burn. Even if like somehow like something happened that wiped out your bank account to zero, right? Imagine how many bridges you would have to burn to not be able to find a single person, even if it's someone that you haven't talked to in years. Like there's no one you could call up and just be like, bro, this thing happened where I don't have any money and I'm losing my house. I just need to stay somewhere for a few weeks while I get another job and then I'll be out of your fucking hair. Like if you can't do that, like if you don't have the ability to do that, it's probably because you've already fucked over a bunch of people. You've probably already stolen a bunch of shit to pay for your drugs or fucking acted like a psycho or, just fucked people over or whatever. And that's because that's who ends up homeless, right? The people who end up homeless aren't people that like, oh, I got laid off from my good job and it just happened right as grandma needed an operation and, whatever, right? That's never true. They're just fucking shitbags. They're just fucking dirty fucking lazy shitbags that usually that are psychos and have drug problems or all of the above, right? And just giving them money, that's not gonna. What's that gonna do, right? It's gonna go towards their drug habit or fuck it. Even if it is keeping them alive, is that a good thing? Like, is it really? Is it? So I don't know. That's the way I see it. I don't know why you do it, but like I guess, like I said, I don't know what kind of city you live in, but when I lived in a big city, I got cured of that shit real quick. Glock 23. Do you know who Pastor James David Manning is? Not off the top of my head. He has a church in Harlem, New York City. He got kind of famous from exposing Obama as a fraud and a fag. Supposedly, Barry and Michael adopted their kids from Jamaica. I've heard different theories about their kids being from other people. I've even seen like the photos of the supposed parents and whatever. I don't know. It's possible. Again, people say how there's no photos that exist of Michelle Obama being pregnant, and I've never seen one. Maybe they exist, but I've never seen one. So that's another one of those question marks when it comes to that theory. Tyrone Watermelon.
Wise money management.
Where's the rest?
Thank you.
I've also read The Day of the Rope recently. I genuinely loved it, so here's a few shekels. Speaking of books, what should I be letting my kids read? more and more of these days, the libs like to slip their propaganda in them. Oh, luckily, there's centuries of literature. You know, like there's always the classics. I would do that. I mean, even when I was a kid, I just I used to spend time at my grandparents on my dad's side. They had like a little bit, I guess you could call it was like a ranch, and they had like the room that I would sleep in had all these really old Reader's Digest. Like Reader's Digest would basically condense down like the classics into, you know, more a shorter readable format for kids or for stupid people, I guess. And when I was a kid, I would read through, you know, all these different, you know, these are abridged basically, you know, versions of the classics. You can actually find those books really cheap. I mean, you can just find books cheap. Used books are cheap. But that would be a good place to start. Get a bunch of Reader's Digest collections that have like the abridged versions of you know, all these great stories, and that way it's structured. It's written in such a way that like a young adult can read it and comprehend it, and it's shorter, so the shorter attention span of kids, I guess, will be addressed. But that used to be that was like a gold mine for me. I used to just sit there and read those fucking books all day long. Another thing you can do is, you know, just roll the dice on go to a used bookstore. Just go to like some used bookstore and take your phone with you. So and go to like the bargain bin, or, you know, like used bookstores. You can get books for like $1, or take your kids to a used bookstore and say, hey, go pick 5 books that you want. And, you know, again, bring your phone with you so you can look them up, make sure it's not some weird fucking Jew book that they bring back to you. But then, you know, have them read the books that they picked. Or if you want to make it into a game, tell them go to this, or look around this used bookstore and find 5 books that were written prior to 1960 that you want to read. And show them how you just open up the cover. The copyright's right there. So just look for a book that was made before or whatever. Pick a date, right? And a date that's going to increase your chances of it not being garbage. So those are some ideas. Explicit. Thank you so much for taking the time to deep dive into stuff that really matters. Check this out later. It's all about how the trannies have infiltrated everything. And includes Michael Obama. All right, well, there you go. Although I don't know, I see Eric Dubay in the thing that you sent in the link, and isn't he like Captain Flat Earth? In the URL that you gave me, it says Eric Dubay, so I'm already skeptical. Okay, I'm just saying. Teja. Owen Benjamin has a search engine for all of his videos. Myniggle.com. But he also charges to use it, I'm pretty sure, doesn't he? Yeah, I mean, there's probably a way you could run your everything through a speech-to-text thing. You could probably run the replays through software that would attempt to, and I'm guessing, I don't know. I'm guessing they're doing something like that. They're running it through a software that's essentially transcribing all of the video, and then creating a database that can search those words. I don't know. I guess speech to text is getting good enough to where you could probably do that. Maybe that's something I should think about. I wouldn't make a whole search engine for it, though. But I might make the transcripts available somewhere. That might not be the worst idea. And then you can just search wherever they're available. You could search for them. JLP Moose, I think that is. Interagency Spook Complex used Gonzalo for link analysis and fleeced him. and he knowingly embellished his predicament, being stupid and egotistical, for that 140 grand from Patreon, all while exposing his network, GWM3. I'm not sure what GWM3 is. Interagency Spook Complex used Gonzalo for link analysis and fleeced him. And he knowingly embellished it. I'm not sure what you're getting at exactly. But I guess you're saying he's a pawn of the intelligence agencies. I mean, I don't know. It's possible. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell specifically what you're getting at, but yeah, I mean, he could easily have been manipulated into doing whatever he did. But it just seems crazy to me. It seems weird that you wouldn't do one of the alternative scenarios that I proposed. Now here you go. All while using devices with Google GPS chips. Remember those SBU blacklists of journalists? Where do you think they got those? Well, yeah, I would have destroyed any and all devices. Oh, well, first of all, I would have tried to acquire as much. I would have tried to convert as much of my money into cash as possible. Right? And by cash, I mean like American dollars, not hryvnia, you know? I'd want to have like some kind of currency that wouldn't necessarily go to nothing. And easier said than done, right? Like if he didn't prepare for that. I feel like he should have prepared for this eventuality too. I think he was being too cocky prior to... Especially after he was detained the first time. Look, if it was me after I was detained the first time, I would have got the fuck out of the country. There's no reason to be in the country. You can still talk about the same things. You don't have to be there. In fact, if I was him, you wouldn't even have to tell people that you weren't there anymore. You could go somewhere else. You could go somewhere in Russia and just stay in an apartment and still hide out and then just tell people you were still there. No one would know. You know what I mean? Like, why did he have to be there? It doesn't, you know, like he wasn't, there was nothing he was, it's not like he was really talking about things happening on the ground. He was just looking at all the same Telegram channels that everyone else was. So I don't understand what the value of him being there was. It didn't make any sense. It almost seemed like he wanted to get caught. Maybe he did. I don't know. Glock 23. Another thing Pastor James Manning was right about was Trump. Manning hugely supported Trump when he was running for president the first time until Trump caved in and said Obama was an American-born citizen. Manning immediately dumped Trump and said Trump would backstab America if elected. Yeah, I remember that. I remember everyone thinking that was 4D chess and how based it was that he called that press conference to tell everyone that, you know, about Obama's birth certificate. And what did he do? He immediately apologized and then turned it, you know, flipped the script and what did he do? He turned it into like the Broderick woman stuff, like the Clinton rape victims, or I forget what it was, but I remember just being like, dude, don't flip on this. Like, he's so obviously not a citizen. And now I know you have no fucking balls and you have no principles. I mean, I still wanted him to win, but like my idyllic view of him was rapidly decaying when I saw that. Guitar Dude 1356, have you watched any content with John Zerka and Nick Fuentes in Red Pill space? And what are your thoughts in particular on Fresh and Fit, the Pearl Davis podcast, etc.? Also, what are your thoughts on Ryan Dawson and his theories on 9/11? His video. Well, yeah, you're asking me like my opinion on everyone that you know for $1. I haven't seen a lot of their stuff, so I don't know. John Zerka comes across as kind of a cokehead to me. I mean, just honestly, like when I hear him talking, I'm just reminded of I'm reminded of being at a bar and some cokehead just comes and sits next to you and just starts yelling cokehead stuff at you. And you're just kind of like trapped, you know, like you want to leave, but like they're so focused like a laser beam with at hurling lots of nonsense at you, rapid fire nonsense that you're just kind of like, okay, all right, that's good. Well, my friends are, oh, really? Yeah, well, yeah, but I gotta, yeah, okay, yeah, really? Wow, that's cool. Yeah, it just feels like that, right? When he's talking, I'm just like, again, I haven't seen much of him, but like what I have seen him, it's been a lot like that. As far as Nick, I haven't seen like a lot of his recent stuff. I think that he did a decent job. The parts that I saw on Fresh and Fit, which it wasn't a lot of it. When he was on Pearl Davis, I saw clips of it, like probably what everyone else saw. Nothing seemed that crazy to me. Out of the clips that I saw, like there was nothing bad. It seemed like he did a good job. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing. I mean, these things are all like 3-4 hours long a piece, right? Ryan Dawson's theories on 9/11 are pretty close. I think they're probably pretty right on in most ways. But like anyone, I'm sure it's not perfect. But I think I think at the very least, he builds a good framework to get you going. I think that he's got the right idea on a lot of stuff, and it's a good place to start. Absolutely. Honestly, none of those theories made any sense until I went through his videos, which were very poorly produced and at times hard to pay attention to because of how bad they are. But that said, the information is very, very good. And it's, like I said, it's a really good... Once I went through all his videos, I was like, okay, so it's not just like stupid, high energy or, energy weapons and fucking invisible planes and stupid shit. Like, this actually makes sense. And then you can start researching and seeing if what he's talking about adds up. And a lot of it does. I can't say 100% of it does, but at least a lot of the stuff that I've looked into seems to check out. So I think that it was his... I did not see his interview on Fresh and Fit, though. I don't watch Fresh and Fit. I'm just talking about his old videos, which are available in a lot of places. You can find them. I forget the names of them off the top of my head, but he has like 2 different like 4-hour-long videos on 9/11, and just take notes and go around and look up some of this stuff and archive it if you find it, because one of the things, especially tonight, going through all the Obama stuff from 2007, a lot of those links were dead. I had to use the Wayback Machine a lot tonight in order to just get some of this information that used to be really easy to find. And so it's always important to archive this stuff. Night Fires. Sorry about the typo. Just thought it was interesting that our most powerful denomination had Chase on it. He also pushed for... you're talking about... the highest... You mean like a $10,000 bill? Was that what you're getting at this whole time? Chase is on is it a $10,000 bill? Why don't you just say a $10,000 bill? Let me see. $10,000 bill. Is there a $10,000 bill? Yeah, there you go. $10,000 bill. Yep, it's got Chase on it. Should I pop it up? There we go. $10,000 bill. How many of these do you think they got in circulation? Probably not many, if any. So there you go. All right, and then last but not least, is explicit. I promise he doesn't say anything about flat Earth. I know you'd ban me from chat if I sent a link that did. No, we're not shunning people yet. The amnesty for flat earthers, for the pancake earthers, is still good. We are still granting amnesty to pancake earthers who want to come back to the fold. But there is a time limit. Eventually we will be shunning you, like the Amish. But for right now, the amnesty is still good. But that said, if one of the biggest flat earthers on the internet is generating the information that you're sending me, if someone has a hard time grasping the shape of the Earth, and not only that, they're spreading their misunderstanding of the facts like a virus, I have to call into question all of their other information. That's just the way that it is. So that's why I'm not too optimistic about that. All right. And then we got Finkelstein, solution to usury. Send me another BitChute link that's probably some schizo shit. Let me see. And then we're gonna get out of here. I think that, let's see, what is it? We're gonna download it. All right, we're gonna see what it is. And we're going to get out of here. This one's not downloading for some reason. You're holding us up, man. You're holding us up. Yeah, this one's not downloading. Well, I mean, it is. It's going really fucking slow. It's literally going at 56K modem speeds. So unless it speeds up, we might just have to hightail it out of here. Oh, wait, hold on. It might. The internet gnomes heard me and made it happen faster. Here we go. Let's see what this is. Oh, I should probably take the money down, huh?
Why can't you do that? Why can't you? This is the problem with having a goyim wife. You never listen to me kvetch. You just stare at me. Why can't you listen? Why can't you hear me right?
I listen.
No, you don't. You just stare. You're staring right through me. I feel as though you don't care.
I do care.
No, you don't care. 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 No, you don't. You just like the money. You like the money. You like all the other goyim wives out there. You don't even care about me. No one cares about me. We're all here alone. That's why my people are always so successful. Because we go out on ourselves. Because you don't understand us. You don't understand us. You don't understand us. Do you? No. You don't want to hear me talk, do you? You can't stand it, can you? You can't stand the kvetching. That's part of being Jewish. To be Jewish is to kvetch. I need someone to listen. Are you not going to listen? Will you listen from now on? Will you do better? You're so smart. You're such a smart
Why are we listening to this? Oh my God. Why are we listening to some Jew kvetching while, isn't that, what's his name? Eyebrows, play the violin. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't. I just can't. I just can't. I just can't. Can't listen to this. All right, guys. Well, at any rate, hope you guys all have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks for stopping by. I'll let you guys. I don't know if I'm guessing that it's in lieu of a Wednesday stream. There'll be an interview of some sort, but I might do a stream. Depends on what my calendar ends up being like, or if I can't get the interview lined up or whatever. But I'll let you guys know on Telegram and Twitter and Gab and whatnot. So in the meantime, of course, for Black Pilled, I am Driven Stack.
My name is Rachel. I live in Newport Richey, Florida, and this goes out to Barack Obama. The change will come out, Obama. Bet your bottom dollar that Obama, there'll be some Just thinking about Obama clears away the war and the horror till there's none. When I'm stuck with my mom, who's poor and lonely, I just reach for her hands and stand and say, oh, the change will come out, dear mama, so you gotta hang on till Obama comes our way. Obama, Obama, I love ya, Obama, you're always my wish away. When I'm stuck with my dad, who's sad and angry, I just reach for his hands and stand and say, oh, the change will come out, Joe Biden, so you gotta hang out with Obama. Come our day, Obama, Obama, I love ya, Obama, you're always a vote away. Obama, Obama, I love ya, Obama, you're only a change away.